foundation prepared. It's time to build a story. It's time to find out if the #1 team in the league right now, RNG, highest win-loss ratio of all of the teams, regardless of who they lost to, taking on the third place team of Group A, OMG, currently on the rise and looking to keep on surging higher.
And the 2 all-Chinese rosters left in the LPL. You can see the audience. There's no wonder that it was a bit stacked in there. They've got a lot of fans and a lot of regional pride behind them as we take a look at the Keystone Masteries. So nothing super out of the ordinary. It is the Stormator Surge for Rise versus Croja the Colossus, so a lot of that power being removed from LeBlanc. He doesn't feel the need to take the shield to try to look at those trade windows. Dom, I see that you're motioning behind the Thunderlords between Nami and Lulu versus going the Windspeaker's Blessing. So trying to prioritize and weaponize their individual trading powers as opposed to empowering their AD carries.
Yeah, we do have both bottom lanes taking Fervor and Thunderlords, so support's looking for a quick in and out, quick little skirmish, whereas the AD carries are hyping up for a big fight. You can see
prioritize and
now
weaponize
starting
their individual
Check out Ming. One thing that I didn't check is his summoner spell. That guy took Ignite on Lulu. What a baller.
Fervor and Thunderlords. He's sending a message. MLXG for a quick in and out. Greedy starts a little bit of extra damage so he can do a fast fight clear on those Raptors.
But what's really important is that both junglers started top side, not necessarily because of how it'll change their dynamic towards the bottom side, but the fact that SMLZ5, Ming, and Uzi didn't have to leash for their junglers. So both giving the go-ahead to the 2v2, we know you can dominate on either side. And so far, it's Uzi and Ming that went out.
Yeah, they're shoving the lane in real quick. And, ooh, SMLZ gets that one. And the minions are actually just outside of turret range, so he'll be able to keep even on CS.
And here's the thing about how these lanes work. I'm not super solid on whether you can say for sure, you know, Ashe Lulu beats Lucian Nami. We know that Lucian Nami is the old school way that this works, just because Nami puts E on Lucian, he can get all 3 procs of it with his double tap passive. But it takes time. You have to wait for Nami's sustain to kind of outrace the pots and just trade their pots for damage like this. So it's about out-trading.
And exhaust onto Uzi. A very fast clear from World 6 gets him down. Can he land the Sonic Wave? He gets the red buff slow first. Uzi is almost certainly dead. First blood SMLZ. He turns onto Ming, leading the bubble. A double kill for SMLZ.
And just like that, the junglers start top side. We know that they have a direct route going towards the bottom side. Uzi and Ming decide that they want to play aggressive. They have the Ignite on the Lulu. They want to punch first with the pushing priority that Ashe and Lulu will have, but he immediately turns around. And as I was trying to warm up is Nami and Lucian will kind of eventually hit back in this lane because of Nami's sustain overwhelming the fact that Lulu won't have that. But usually it takes time, and World 6 just ramped that up.
Yeah, you can see the fans right now very heavily favoring RNG, but perhaps they should have waited an additional 40 seconds after that first blood to retake that fan vote, because OMG, they're up at a 2-0 advantage, and that bottom lane is already looking great.
And World 6 is not done yet. Now he's sitting off into the side. Now Shahu does have Distortion still available, so there shouldn't be much here for him in the mid lane, especially because Shahu's body blocking with a lot of those creeps. But let's talk about the effects of what happened bot lane. SMLZ, he gets both the kills, both the extra first blood gold, as well as another kill in his back pocket. It means that he has so much lifesteal, as well as the Nami on top of him. Now he can look recklessly for trades.
We'll have to see how he does that right now. He's currently trading in 1 versus 2 into Uzi and Ming with that lane advantage, and World 6 is still on this side of the map. There's no ward down there, and the only summoner spell that was burnt by RNG was their heal earlier on. With this wave pushing in, they could try to set RNG's bottom lane even further behind.
But Uzi and Ming knows what's up, because he was on a ward. Excuse me, that's a blue ward. I'm colorblind. It's fine.
There he goes. Now you can see the delayed hawk shot into the jungle. Sees that Krugs is up. But recall finally finished for World 6. He's going straight for the clear speed as he picks up 2 long swords and then a rejuve beef to top himself off. Meanwhile, you can see Let Me going for a very deep ward on the Gromp. Will try to spot out World 6 as he heads on over, but he's been doing a pretty good job in the top lane himself on that Gnar so far. Whereas Icon has been keeping pace in mid lane. Recall now gets him a Ruby Crystal and his tier.
But this is what we expect from the Gnar lane. I mean, nothing's really changed. Again, he's kind of like the worst AD Kennen, if you will. But as long as he's able to stay in that mini Gnar form, he can abuse champions like Shin from afar, keep the lane pushing with his boomerang.
Yeah. Haven't seen a recall yet out of Xiong. He hasn't really needed to, but I'm sure it will become more difficult as time goes on as, oh man, the true damage is just so tough to trade with. MLXG will complete his own recall, goes for the Tracker's Knife very early on, and immediately heads back down mid lane. He's gone for a full jungle clear on his own side of the map. So just maintaining vision. You can see he's actually pinging aggressively into the river. Xiaohu's holding the wave back, and Ming is currently leaning towards the river. In case something were to follow up, he could quickly get over there, but that means that right now, MLXG's on his own.
I mean, they're effectively setting up a gank into the mid lane, and a lot of it's being diffused right now just because Icon's spotting him on that ramp ward. So he knows what's up. He knows that MLXG is in the area. The fact that Xiaohu is being so cautious with his wave, trying to pull it up to force Rise to overextend. But now Rise knows that MLXG is on the bottom side of the map, so he should just cheat towards the top side, wait for the wave to bounce back, and be perfectly fine.
Instead, that means MLXG will just go ahead and complete his jungle a little bit more. World 6 just misses that ward, though he will now see the control ward of Xiaohu. But it is a Tiamat first out of World 6, so he is going for a little bit of mobility in this clear. If he can get through the camps nice and quick, try to outpace that Gragas a little bit. Still 700 gold for OMG this early on.
What we're ramping up for is the second rotation of blue spawn. You can see that SMLZ and 5 were also cheating up into the river, placing down deep vision. It will be spawning shortly. It's now the question of, do OMG feel confident enough to continue on the snowball that they started bottom and contesting that blue? If so, Icon needs to be on the same page as well. And right now he doesn't have push priority against Xiaohu.
Yeah, he does have Realm Warp, so he did level that up at 6, and you can see there is a lane advantage for SMLZ in 5 plus Scuttle Crab for World 6. So, still not seeing that blue for another 40 seconds or so. As the bottom lane continues to trade back and forth, and SMLZ is just so reckless.
This is a dive with Shin. Shin's teleporting top, but he does have Stand United. He was just spotted out by Hawkshot.
World 6 is spotted. 4 summoners are up. Uzi's got his heal back up as well, as Icon gets a really good trade with Xiaohu, but then eats a large sigil of Malice.
That was actually so poorly played from Xiang. Why would he teleport top lane?
Oh, World 6 is going to force the fight onto MLXG. Immediately you see Xiaohu pulling back.
Why Xiang? Okay, so this is what's frustrating. Xiang is being bullied around his lane. That makes sense. He's against the Gnar. He uses his teleport because he doesn't want to lose any of the CS that's crashing onto the tower. That also makes sense. What doesn't make sense is across map, you can very clearly see that SMLZ and 5 have built up a massive wave. It's crashing onto the tower. They have Stand United. They knew where MLXG was, and Lee Sin was cutting behind the tower. That reads Shin teleport or Shin Stand United play bottom, and then use the teleport to counteract and go back up top lane. But by using the TP back top, Xiang neutralized all of that setup that OMG had, and now they lose so much momentum.
And now World 6 sees that his own blue has been stolen by a very opportunistic Let Me, who uses his lane pressure to quickly sneak into the jungle and steal that away with that Phage first start. So, things looking good for RNG, as a quick blunder from the top laner of OMG sets them just a little bit further behind. They're still up by about 1,000 gold, but that momentum is stalled.
But this is the thing, when OMG are exploited, it's typically through Xiang. You know, he's not the best top laner in the league. He's recently been on kind of the up and up in terms of his individual performance, but you can't make mistakes like that.
World 6 misses the Sonic Wave and immediately eats a lot of damage. MLXG tries to flash Body Slam, but he still finds the keg onto World 6.
Kick, it's fine. He followed up the keg with the kick.
Yeah.
He actually flashed to position to make sure he hit Gnar and kicked Gragas away.
Yep.
So that was pretty cute from World 6. Ultimately, though, flash for flash traded for the junglers.
So still works out to be pretty even, but MLXG will have a little bit more momentum clearing through his side of the jungle. That means bottom lane, knowing that Lee Sin is top, will get the opportunity to start clearing out some of the vision World 6 and the bottom lane of SMLZ and 5 set up down there. And plus we're seeing Xiaohu do damage down there as Uzi's like, stop it.
But that's totally fine to trade Relentless Pursuit. Oh my god.
The
culling.
Yep.
Wow, I took some pain medication.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Things are getting weird.
Makes sense. And you can actually see that Xiaohu's spotted out right now. He's using a decoy to spot bottom. Good use of the clone to block one of those Runic Blast. Sonic Wave hits. Oh,
Red.
Flash over the wall. There goes the Realm Warp. He pops right back around, and Icon follows up with a quick overcharge.
And Xiaohu just not respecting where the jungler was. The fact that he even got caught out trying to clear a ward like that. Immediately, Icon pulled the trigger and said, hey, where are you going? Hold on a second there.
Yeah, Icon Very intelligent, using his spells, going for a very safe route, but now he's got a kill under his belt, and he's getting some push pressure onto this mid-tier 1. MLXG is trying to clear it out, but there's only so much Gragas can do against a point-and-click snare of that Rise.
He's going to lose a ton of health on this tower. They're actually having to force Let Me down here. He's disappeared. He was spotted out by a ward, so you see that immediately Rise and Lee Sin reacted and now running bottom. But this is just bleeding across the map. Like, every single lane of RNG is losing right now.
World 6...
Excuse me, except for top.
Yes, World 6 is doing a great job of affecting these lanes. Still a huge bot lane advantage, nearly 20 CS for SMLZ. That should be a little closer to about 15 or so when that wave is cleared out. About 13.
There is a window here, and I actually like what RNG are doing with it, knowing that Icon is back, so they have the numbers advantage because Xiaohu was killed. Respawns, and they rush back, so they make sure that Lee Sin doesn't get a free Cloud Dragon for nothing. It's little, but matters. In
the meanwhile, the, OMG are able to get a whole bunch of vision on this bottom side. You can still see a great set of deep wards, that Silk Road, so-called, just behind the Pit of the Dragon. Another control ward just inside of the river as well. So it's not completely black for RNG. They are matching those wards just about 1 for 1. But we're slowly seeing OMG push further ahead. They haven't been able to take any big advantages for it. I love the use of the decoy there to soak that overcharge. That is so clever. Because it counts as a clone. It counts as a full object. If it hits the skill shot, then it doesn't reflect onto the LeBlanc in the back.
Xiaohu was known for his LeBlanc play. We can also see that he's also updated that by going for the new build. So looking for that Gunblade build offers him a lot of the sustain in the lane, so he can stay in there longer because he's going to get his health back with the AoE damage on the creeps, as well as the fact that once he has the Gunblade complete, he'll be able to slow whoever he wants to chain and make sure that the chains react more reliably.
You can see MLXG is actually heading towards the top side. He was able to sneak in behind Xiang, and they're bringing Xiaohu as well. Letme's ready, pins him against the wall, follows up, and Uzi rotating with Ming. It's 5 members of RNG catching Xiang unprotected. First turret goes down, and they're still going.
So RNG pull another very creative play. They recognize that the bottom lane is sunk, that they cannot win the 2v2, so they decide to take the tempo advantage, swap up to the top side, and now we're in a race, and because RNG have tempo, they get to the inner tower first, and they're going to do massive damage, possibly take it down here. Yeah, so we're seeing a 2-turret trade from OMG. A little bit of a haphazard response, but they will take mid and bottom tier 1, trade it for top tier 1 and tier 2, but they're trying to collapse. Yeah, but now they just need to get out safely here, so it's all about this realm warp. Icon, what you got?
5 is following up. He's already got Moby Boots, so he can catch up rather quickly. World 6 is there, but they've made it all the way back to the tier 1, and with that, OMG give up chase and just have to take the blue instead. And frankly, it's hard to say who actually wins out there. It's now about how they execute on the map. So technically, it was a 2-for-2 tower trade. Top for bot, but then top inner for mid. OMG will get kind of the cherry on top of the Cloud Dragon, but because it's not an Infernal or a Mountain, I don't want to weight it too much to that side. So what's big for me is how they use this elongated lane. Like, can RNG continue to abuse the fact that a minion wave will be held so far down there to gain and exploit the rest of the map? Will be very interesting to see if they can do that. Teleport's finally back up for Xiang. He's only 10 CS down despite that death, so he's been able to keep himself afloat in lane, but now he's going to have to go towards the bottom side of the map, as that means SMLZ and 5 head up top, and Uzi still 0-1, already finished off his Blade of the Rune King. And this is how you can exploit this. So SMLZ has to go really far forward to get any sort of farm to make sure that he's continuing to put money into the bank for the Lucian. You're against a LeBlanc. As soon as Xiaohu goes missing, he is so far to run back to safety, and even if he reaches that inhib tower, if it's actually going to be enough to stop LeBlanc from popping him. So this is what I mean. If RNG can exploit the fact that SMLZ has to overreach for the cookies here, then it's a win in their favor. If they don't, then I think it's just frankly even. Yeah, on the upside, it is Gunblade LeBlanc, so we're not going to see some instant burst kills as compared to old school full AP. But you will see a ton of chains hitting, which means that they're not getting away, Relentless Pursuit Flash or not. Chains on chains on chains. Already you can see the vision set up from OMG. 5 is sweeping out vision. He's not taking any chances. You can even see Uzi and Ming are very much respecting World 6 and Icon as they see their top side of the map slowly going dark. There's still a huge teleport ward way behind them, but SMLZ gets the minion wave up to the turret. They pull up MLXG as well. World 6 is spotted, so they know that he's there. Whoa, that
no
Gragas
cask.
damage. Wow.
He could have popped Lee Sin back, frankly respecting the fact that he had Safeguard as well as the Flash.
Yeah, mid laners are keeping each other occupied while Xiang has pulled nice and far back from Let Me. In the event a skirmish were to break out, he could easily stand united or teleport in. But it looks like the tension diffuses. The ward line for OMG is pushed up to allow SMLZ to continue farming, to continue overreaching.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's that OMG recognize that SMLZ has to be up there and they need to cover him. In response, RNG can continue to exploit this 1v1, but only if Let Me plays it correctly. So you saw that the trade didn't go as far in Gnar's favor as he wanted it to, so it needs to be a bit more careful there.
Ooh, arrow. See that Icon is very heavily leaning towards that turret.
And that really helps out as soon as we start looking towards the next dragon, which is the Mountain Dragon. Because you have that strong pivot point in mid lane with the tower still standing, it means that it's that much easier for OMG to reach for deep vision in the red or blue jungles respectively for RNG. So as this Mountain Dragon comes into play, hopefully our OMG will recognize that they have kind of the push priority in mid lane because the tower's still there, use that to their advantage to pull RNG out of Mountain and then get a vision advantage.
Yeah, and so far we are seeing SMLZ now in that middle lane. Again, much safer place for that Lucian to be, so close to that tier 1 turret, as it's Icon who's left all by his lonesome in the bottom lane, and Xiang deliberated towards that long lane.
So here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Time to come online. The 80 carry, or the bottom lane, for OMG is really strong. SMLZ with this Lucian build, every single item he completes, that's going to be a power point. He will shred through people. It's now just kind of this matter of who's going to win out. Will the Lucian be caught off guard? Will Uzi hit the game-changing arrow? Because that's all he can really do with Ash right now.
Yeah. So far, he's managed to land a very clutch one onto 5, but wasn't able to follow through on the kill. OMG now using some vision control that they've maintained in the mid and top side of the map as a residual effect of taking the top tier 1 to now clear out Rift Herald. I like how they're all doing this at full health with vision, with Icon playing back, instead of going for it immediately after taking the top tier 1. So even that was safe from OMG, as they're now 2,000 gold ahead of RNG and are setting up for the next big objective.
That was scary, though, the fact that Xiaohu is looking for the flank. So, like you said, setting up for the next objective, Xiaohu is translating that into a pick, and they have so much pick potential still with only 2 champions on their team, Ashe and LeBlanc. An arrow, a chain can mean the difference right before this spawns if it's a 4v5.
Yeah. Excellent objective timing from OMG. They know that this is happening. Red buff is caught by SMLZ. He's spotted out by a hawk shot from Uzi, so he knows that this is coming. But SMLZ is a full level ahead of Uzi right now. Does he have the skills?
Again.
Even SMLZ taking the safe route around to get back towards that turret. Xiang playing all the way back to the inhibitor line. RNG, they've got Uzi's arrow, but he's spotted out by a ward. So again, the pick is unsuccessful. Now Let Me swaps towards the bottom, and slowly but surely RNG find themselves losing out on neutral objectives.
And they haven't been able to exploit the fact that they created that long lane in the top side. It may get a little bit easier as Baron's now in play, and so we're shifting our focus towards the top side of the map. And just like we were talking about how OMG got the advantage over Dragon because they had control over the middle side, RNG theoretically should have more control over the Baron area because they have control over the top side of the map, as long as they tend and cultivate to that wave.
Theoretically, that's something that they actually have to go ahead and do, not something that they just get passively. They are sending Let Me bottom, so that means we can see Xiaohu and Ming start to set up some vision with SMLZ.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They're already setting up for it. So they've got the teleport towards the bottom side of the map. He's going to create a pressure point down there. You see Xiang responding to it. Now they just need Xiaohu to push past that wave, past the inner tower that they've killed. Uzi and Ming just need to stay safe right now. Wait till the waves are set up, then move into Baron, start sweeping out the vision, and make the use of their pick composition. As soon as Baron goes dark, then it's an arrow, and it's a chain, and it's a 4v5, and it's a Baron.
Yeah, you see right now, OMG seem to know that this is the priority. Icon is pushing into Xiaohu, knows that he's probably not going to get 100-0'd now that he's finished off his Rod of Ages and a Negatron cloak. So he feels safe pushing that far forward, especially when he's got World 6 up there.
But something has to give, and they're pulling SMLZ, like you said, to take care of that Gnar. What will RNG get in response?
The slam misses, and he sidesteps the crunch. That's a great play from SMLZ, casually sidestepping Let Me.
But the best part about it is look at the rest of OMG. They communicated as a team. They said, okay, we're sending our 80 carry bottom. He's the power point. He can kill the Gnar. The rest of us just sit on Baron and just red zone defense. Like, This is not an option for you, RNG.
Now sweeping out the vision, knowing that they're at a numbers advantage. There's no chance for a teleport flank. OMG are taking control of this game And it seems like RNG's attempts to set up and do anything are just being stymied by OMG. This is not the best game that we expected from them. This is a team that has already guaranteed at least semifinal placement. They cannot drop any lower than this in their group. They don't need to win here. It would be a statement for them if they could. As Xiaohu, he's going to try trading with Icon. There go the double chains as you predicted. Perhaps this hubris could be leading them to be playing down here, but a win here for OMG, a 2-0 or even a 2-1 would be phenomenal.
And that's always going to be the question, you know, how much do RNG actually need to win here versus are they just kind of hiding their hand until they get into playoffs and then they come out with the funky strategy? You know, this is the team that have played things like Leona Nocturne and had it work out for them. Yeah, we see the Gnar, but it's not super out of left field. Everything else is very stock standard. Maybe even a little bit loose because Ming's doing things like going for the Ignite on the Lulu. I mean, there's a Rise on that team. There's a Lucian on that team. Why not have the Exhaust?
Tough say. But if you're ahead of your table in poker, there's no reason to play every hand. You can just play it nice and slow. Perhaps RNG playing the intelligent, the wise man's game in this setup. And it might be coming to hurt them. 3,000 gold down right now. And they seem to be just sitting back and waiting for it. Now starting to push in and sweep out that vision on the back of Baron.
And we talked about how Gnar at the very beginning in Champion Select is very similar to AD Kennen, at least in kind of the thematic way that he's played, although hold on, because Ming might be caught.
Oh yeah, getting very overzealous and clearing out wards. Eats a hit, but the arrow catches World 6. There's a Realm Warp. 5 is split. Stand United. The chains and the auto is not enough. He gets out with his life, but finds Let Me on the back. Somehow they manage to escort their support to safety. Let Me turns onto SMLZ, but that means that he goes down on the far side. Icon was able to keep everyone else occupied. As Xion is getting in there. World 6 follows up. SMLZ is silenced. He's knocked up. He gets 1. Turns onto Ming to look for 2, but Uzi and Xiaohu still do a lot. Now they're pinned against the Baron with low health. The volley hits, and that's the kill for Xiaohu. Xiong tries to save him and manages to kill Uzi, but he's got no chance against Xiaohu. The cooldowns rotate through, and MLXG goes down.
So close, but not quite there for OMG. There was actually a lot of really cool interactions and setup in the team fights from both teams, RNG and OMG, over the course of that 5. Very chaotic, but in the end, it is just a slightly better cohesion from RNG that win them the day. Perfect. So first and foremost, 5 flashes in, and he's not going to die here. He's going to survive with a sliver of his health, and that's important because it allows Shin to actually get into the team fight. Now pay attention to Gnar. There is such a great job of chained CC that delays Gnar from actually getting his punch across the wall, which means that SMLZ and World 6 finally get to the fight. Unfortunately, at this point, Xiong's lost most of his health, and a clutch polymorph denies so much damage from SMLZ. And then here's the miscommunication, like, are we going in? Are we not going in? He gets tagged by the slow Xiong's like, for your life, I'll try to save you. Dashes back in, but ultimately the relentless pursuit has already been used by Lucian, so he's unable to follow it up on it. So just slight miscommunication. You have to think that if Xiong was ready to turn when SMLZ was pushing forward, that it could have been an OMG victory. But a great polymorph and miscommunication win the day for RNG.
Now RNG are continuing their momentum. After one team fight, they're looking for Mountain Dragon as it respawns. OMG are grouped as 4. They've got Xiong's teleport to get in there as well. They could be ready for a fight, but RNG play it nice and patient. They're kiting it out. MLXG tries to get back in. Is he going to go for the smite steal? He does! MLXG manages to secure the Mountain Drake at the cost of his own life. But definitely worth trade there as Xiaohu eats a culling.
But the rest of the team need to get out now because if they don't, it's Baron.
Icon follows with the Realm Warp. Ming is caught and goes down. 3 members of RNG are left standing. The jungler is dead, the support is dead, but they've still got damage and they've still got steal potential.
Oh, but it's not a 50-50 because World 6 still has a smite. This is a ballsy call from OMG. Like you said, they've got the poke potential because all of their damage healers are up, but Meganar is far away. Let Me is trying to stack this as quickly as possible to threaten to enter the pit.
OMG turn onto the Baron. They're all hiding away from Let Me, but they decide to trade for that mid instead. Recall, they're not even going to try to defend this turret as it's pushed in. RNG, however, aren't taking any risks. They back away knowing OMG are outside of vision. and a turnaround fight from OMG. They lose the dragon, but they come out so much better for it.
Just an individual decision-making error from MLXG. The fact that he wanted to go for the smite, still sacrifices his life, and then leaves and exposes open the Baron. That's something where the coach is going to point at that after the game. This is where you lost it if RNG go down. It's an easy fix, but it's a very frustrating error to make.
Yeah, it certainly is. But now OMG back in the driver's seat. Things were looking a little risky after that fight on the top side, but now they're right back in it. As Uzi, with his completed Runons, Blade of the Ruin King, clears through these minions so quick.
But it is very hard for OMG to actually continue to break these structures just because of all of the wave killer. Gnar, Xiaohu, or Gnar, LeBlanc, Ashe, and Gragas. The only way you break those towers is either by pulling them across the map, playing multiple waves like they're doing now, or diving.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we see. The bottom tier 2 is the objective for OMG. They take it down.
So the really key champions here for OMG are Shin and Rise, because they could do the dropship maneuver and continue to pull RNG around, or they need to use the
World
Stand
6
United
is
to
cast
dive.
in. He's going to be taking a lot of damage. The chains lock him out, and Letme's follows through with the kill. Uzi tags 5 with the arrow. Letme has got the slam. He finds Icon, pins him against the wall. Rise is dead. The fight is turned once again. We're going back and forth. This is going a do-si-do. You, then me, then you again. Xiyoung is the target. He is slowed. He's able to keep himself away from the chains, but only just. But that means SMLZ is now the closest target to the rest of RNG. They continue to chase. The slow onto Xiyoung. Glitter lands onto SMLZ. RNG are looking for the ace. Xiyoung is sacrificing his life so that he can keep his AD carry alive. That's 4 members of OMG dead.
And just like that, RNG right back into the game. They destroy pretty much every single Baron. I think a single one survives, and it's all off of a great cast from MLXG. Bam! World 6 is almost immediately obliterated from the fight because the chains catch them. A great arrow and follow-up from Uzi to then pick up 5, and from there it's the chase potential of having that massive Gnar crunch into the wall.
Yeah, huge play from RNG. Then they continue to chase and pick up one more in this extended trade, but that Baron netted one single turret for OMG. They've still got the buff on SMLZ for now, but they can no longer play those side lanes anywhere near as effectively as if they could before. A huge play from MLXG. And that just sort of speaks to the skill of RNG. If it's the decision-making that cost them the Baron, but then the mechanical outplay to get a cask to win the ensuing fight, it's a volatile setup. And again, we have to raise the question, are RNG taking this game seriously?
Playing at their full potential, if you will. Well, they need to if they're going to take down OMG. Again, this is not a team that they're just going to walk over. They're not like Snake. They're not playing dead already. OMG are trying to fight for second place right now, which moves them up, you know, another best of 5 closer to representing China at MSI. It's a big deal, so can't just breeze through this one.
Yeah. It is up to RNG to let us know, as they are getting bigger and bigger as this game goes on. Black Cleaver and Frozen Mallet now finished up for Letme. He is going to follow you until the ends of the earth. He's tired of that Shen and SMLZ, Shen and Lucian being able to walk away from him. Xiaohu has finished off his own Zhonya's and a Void Staff as well. We're seeing the Phantom Dancer finished off for Uzi. Despite the 4,000 gold deficit, RNG are still hitting those breakpoints. They're still taking these fights.
Yeah, and they're finally getting to a point where Uzi actually matters in the map right now. He can kill the front line. He can walk them down. And walking them down is something that they are all able to do. That's slick. He walks away with it, but
very sneaky play from OMG, just trying to keep RNG on their toes.
But Frozen Mallet as well as Ashe, like once RNG catch you with this composition, you're not going anywhere. Then plus multiple chains from the Gunblade and LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Like you're CC locked for days.
I feel like we're playing Mortal Kombat. Get over here! Xiyoung now, he's getting pretty big as well. Finished off his second armor item. Taking a look through the rest of them. Icon has finished his Seraph's Embrace. Black Cleaver and Phantom Dancer along with Quicksilver and the Last Whisper for SMLZ. So everybody's hitting these sort of mid-game power breakpoints. We're starting to transition towards these larger, more explosive late-game fights. Now Mountain Dragon is up in 30 seconds. We just had a few sets of recalls to top off some final items, and RNG are already prepped and on the map. Ming is setting up vision with SMLZ. And immediately 5, you can see he's grouped up with Icon saying, "Lead the way, please." I do not want to face check into a LeBlanc.
I mean, you said that everyone's got kind of their big next break points. At this point, everyone has their core itemization.
Yeah.
Probably the language that I would use.
That's
So, absolutely, you're correct. Explosive 5v5s. We're coming closer where probably the next 2 5v5s will probably determine the course of the game, but it's super exciting for OMG fans that there's even that chance. You know, against RNG, you would expect this game to kind of be done and dusted. Normally, RNG get first Baron, they destroy your base, they take second Baron as a courtesy to your dignity, and then they choke you out.
It looks like the Dragon is being started now by OMG, and again, a late reaction from RNG. They've got a ward in the pit, and they're deciding to let it go, so that's 2 mountains for OMG. Realm Warp to pick everyone up and get them right back under that tier 1. No chance for MLXG to push in the wave and try to sneak in front of OMG to take it down.
But they still have a lot of threat as they approach the tower. So it's where OMG's composition really struggles with sieging turrets. That is not the case for RNG. They've got LeBlanc who can kind of duck in and out underneath it. They can threaten with Gragas. He steps forward. He's like, who's going to be out of position? I can cask, pull you off the structure. And meanwhile, Letme should be in one of these side lanes. So it is actually a mistake that Letme's not doing that right now, that he was grouped up with the team, and letting Xiong get tempo advantage by pushing top lane.
Yeah, you can see Uzi and Xiaohu responding as they clear out the jungle, so desperate for gold.
This is such a big deal. Now, it doesn't seem like a big deal that Letme was grouped with his team as opposed to in a side lane, but it actually guaranteed OMG getting that scuttle crab because there was no one to contest Xiong pushing the top wave forward and then giving them control over that neutral river. And that scuttle crab means a lot because Baron is spawning in 18 seconds. Like, little things from RNG, unacceptable when structuring and setting up big monster objectives.
There's a lot of debate over which team in the league of the LPL deserves the title of best in the region, best in the LPL. Right now, this performance from RNG isn't very convincing so far. We'll have to see if they can recover, as now they bring SMLZ back up to the mid lane. Xiong is now answering arrow, catches World 6 along with the cast. Can they burst him out? They can! He's dead before the teleport even starts. Stand United gets burned through for Xiong. Letme joins up. He's got a GA. He's in front and tanking for his team. Recall from Xiong. He's going to go for a late teleport as RNG turn to the Baron.
But it has to be a fight because they don't have the smite, so there's no 50-50. OMG are going all in here, so just let the Baron damage them.
Yeah, it's 5 versus 4. That's the Cullen getting some good chip damage, and Baron is doing work. Ming dies to the snare as he's left by his team.
Don't just pull off Baron. Xiong, don't do it. Okay, this is a perfect example about everything that RNG are talented at and everything that they're also poor at. They miss position, they allow the Scuttle Crab to go down. They don't set up the objectives correctly, but they are mechanically talented enough that they can brute force the fight, win it anyway, and set themselves up for the Baron. But then they make another poor decision, and they stay on Baron, let themselves get caught, chunked out, lose a member, and then lose momentum immediately following.
Yeah, they are not able to make up their mind right away. That means a quick counter push from OMG breaks down the mid-tier 2. And once again, despite the play being set up by RNG, OMG answer immediately and are able to keep themselves right back in this.
RNG have decent fundamentals about League of Legends. You know, we praise them for their side wave control in particular. It really hasn't been showcased this game in
just yet.
Yeah, but we'll see if maybe as the series goes on they figure it out, because a lot of that's on Letme.
Yeah.
But they're just like brawn over brain right now. Just like Hulk out, flex on him.
Oh no! Okay, the chain actually misses. Xiaohu looks for some damage onto SMLZ and chips him away, but he's able to walk away. He still did have his Quicksilver stat, so he could have broken out of the snare if that had procced, but RNG, they've still got vision control over the Baron, but they haven't swept everywhere out. There they go. Now they see Let Me Start It.
That's one blue trinket. OMG still have a secondary one.
Xiong's got Stand United, but he doesn't have his teleport. The arrow is tossed, and field goals between them.
And now they just need to wait out Meganar. So the arrow is down, Meganar is down. RNG just lose all of their chips for power.
Suddenly the table goes back in favor of OMG. They bring minions down the mid lane and force RNG to take the long way around as Uzi's taking time to clear out red buff. The minions crash on the inhibitor turret, and Xiong gets the option to keep pushing bottom. Letme's got to make up his mind. Fight or split. MLXG takes a hit. He's very tanky, so he should be fine. That's Stand United as well. They're going to try to force this. Xiong backs away, and that means now Letme can group up with his team.
But you can understand what OMG are thinking right there. They think that they have a pick on the jungler, kill the jungler, make sure that it's not a smite contest, turn towards the Baron.
Though.
but they do lose a key summoner. The teleport isn't up for Xiang. They now don't have the Stand United. It'll be back up soon, but that means that they can no longer play with that bottom wave.
Oh, they might be catching World 6 here. The Spooky Ghost slows for so long. Maximum range is maximum duration. The Tidal Wave finds 3. Culling is in front. Lemmy's about to Meganar out.
But OMG don't have the vision to continue to chase in that area, and now we have to tend to our side waves. RNG, mid and bottom. OMG, SMLZ is booking it towards the top side of the map. So reset, and then another Fiesta dance over the Baron vision.
This game is looking much more even than I think anyone expected. OMG are playing up. Another arrow on cooldown finds Xiang. The chains actually miss. He's still got a GA, though, and flashes out of the second set. So the crowd control is saved, and again, no one dies.
Xiang, you had taunt the first time. You could have taunted out of the arrow. Hello?
He decided to flash instead. But that means now that teleport is almost off of cooldown for both of the top laners. Stand United only has about 20 seconds left, and with Elder Dragon up in 40 seconds, this map is about to open up much more than just the Dragon Pit.
Now we have 2 different focal points to control. Who can actually juggle and who's going to drop the ball first? This is what this game's come down to. OMG, I feel like they had the right idea most of the time, but the execution's just slightly off, whereas RNG have decent fundamentals, but they're band-aiding that just because they're so strong and so much mechanically superior to their opponents.
I love the idea of 2 jugglers just standing there, making eye contact and juggling furiously.
I just feel like we're juggling chainsaws, though. Like, as soon as one comes down, we're taking limbs.
This is a volatile game. Don't try this at home, kids.
This is a tug of war, is what it is.
And now the Elder Dragon has spawned. You can see Lemmy's prepped the wave bottom. Xiang has prepped the wave top. Priorities have been set. 3 dragons for OMG. They'll benefit from the Elder, but 1 dragon for RNG. They'll benefit from the Baron. Meanwhile, OMG have got a bit of tempo advantage in the mid lane, and you can see World 6 is actually making his way bottom.
But here's the thing. Elder actually means more technically for RNG's composition because their composition sieges better naturally, whereas OMG's composition is really dependent on Baron to break the wave clear of RNG. So I feel like even if we traded objectives, there are clear advantages for either team of what they want.
Yeah.
That said, usually if you get Elder, it means that you're going to get Baron anyway because you're just going to use it as the, like, come fight me, bro.
The team fight, yeah. It'll be 90 additional true damage per auto attack from RNG and a grand total of 180 from OMG. So they will hurt if a fight breaks out. But so far, it's just been the patient lane control game. Nobody wants to take any chances after the 2 teams have traded blows earlier on and come out even. Both bruised and bloodied, but still alive and fighting.
Straight up brawl. And we expected this to be more of, you know, the underdog versus like the world champion, heavyweight contender.
The vision is actually cleared out, and RNG trying to get a little bit lucky by forcing the Elder Dragon. World 6 is spotted out. They managed to get the slow with Spooky Ghost cast to separate Sonic Wave in a silence, and Elder Dragon is picked up from RNG.
Just quickly burned, and that's the thing. With Ashe moving towards the Blade of the Rune King build as opposed to the Essence Reaver, as opposed to the Infinity Edge, you have so much more objective control and burn, especially this late in the game anyway, that you can no longer be so careless with your vision.
There goes the culling. They know there's no cask from MLXG, so the Elder Dragon is ticking away. They push a minion wave in that mid lane and immediately swap towards the Baron.
But the Elder should guarantee them the Baron now. They've got full vision control over it. I believe there's 2 blue trinkets on the side of OMG. There's 1.
Setting up a fight, the arrow is tossed and misses. Xiang is splitting in the bottom lane, but the Baron is started. There's not a lot of vision or ways for OMG to check this. World 6 again makes his way behind the pit, but Ming has been so on point. He's spotted out, manages to land the Sonic Wave, and RNG decide just to bait this out instead. They're wasting a lot of time, though.
Yeah, but they're running out of time. Like you said, here comes Xiang. He's now pressuring on the inhib. He will take down this tower before RNG can get into position to defend it, but now they've traded it. They're like, okay, you're going for our inhib, we're going for yours.
Yeah, here comes the fight. Looks like that top inhib or bottom inhib is still standing. RNG now feint back towards the Baron. There's a huge minion wave using the decoy to scout out the respawns inside of the fountain, sees that nobody's there. So RNG have to know that OMG are still on the map. They're still trying to go for this Baron. Have OMG fallen apart? Have they dropped a chainsaw?
Oh no, World 6, he's on the Baron. Stop burning it!
Sees the Sonic Wave. It's going to fall off. It's down to 3,000. They had a window there, but they've caught 5 in the rotation. He's caught warding. Stand United keeps him up, calling on the MLXG. World 6 so tanky, but is he tanky enough? Zanya's from Xiaohu. He's in the front as the GA from MLXG is popped. The fight goes down. SMLZ sidesteps one, and he continues burning through. Let Me is running for his life as SMLZ is firing shot after shot. Finally, we get to see Let Me fall, but that's only the GA popped. Arrow onto Xiyoung. Can they get him down in time? They manage to get MLXG and Let Me. Xiaohu dies in the meanwhile, and OMG are winning the fight. SMLZ goes huge. Uzi is trying to go for the outplays. 1 versus 4, Uzi. Do you have the skills? He's looking for World 6. Oh my god, he's almost doing it, but he finally drops to SMLZ, and that's the ace.
1 versus 2. Uzi manages to take out both GAs, but it's not enough. He can't carry you over the line this time, RNG, and OMG will surely take game 1.
Pushing forward now. They've got a good 20 seconds before Xiaohu is back up. They're looking for the inhibitors. Boy, they wish they had Baron now, but they've got more than enough time as they rush forward. 10 seconds for Xiaohu, turning on to the Nexus turrets. The first one is going to fall. The second shortly thereafter. SMLZ says, get on my back, boys. We're going to playoffs.
They still have one more game before they can cement their start into playoffs, but one hell of a way to start that road.
Huge play from OMG, and the brawl turns out to come into OMG's favor. Their fists are bloodied, their faces are bruised, but they are grinning from ear to ear as they take game number 1.
And that's the thing. OMG a lot of the time had the right idea about how to play fundamental League of Legends, how to set up objectives, where to prioritize those objectives. It wasn't the cleanest it could have been, but it was on the right track. But when it came down to it, when they were in the thick of it, in the scrum, when it came down to the Brawler's gloves, they took it off and they stood toe-to-toe with RNG.
They certainly did. A very volatile match, and now a very not volatile man. Rusty, welcome back.
I was worried you were going to call me volatile, Tom. You can see actually a volatile graph, however, on your screen. There was a lot of spikes, but OMG always had the basis of the control. It got close to even more than once. Elder Dragons, you know, to bring it back to close again. But nope, OMG were the better team in game number 1. And it was mostly through SMLZ, the team empowering him. He looked better than Uzi did.
Yeah, amazingly. Uzi almost 1v5'd at the end of the game. But the key word is almost. SMLZ effectively did.
But here's the thing. I know Uzi has this big reputation behind him. I never want to try to take the wind out of his sails. You know, he is one of the greatest 80 carries to play the game. But I've watched hundreds of Uzi's games, and he is not the same threat domestically as he is internationally. And SMLZ showed up today and said that, like, there's a new king in town, and I'm taking the title.
Huge performance from SMLZ, and I think, as we said, this was a brawl. OMG came out from the beginning playing smart, playing intelligent, fighting back. Every time RNG tried something, OMG answered back almost equally.
Yeah, and there's a reason that it's all, like, Uzi isn't perhaps a domestic threat as much as international. The reason that you can exploit this, however, in the LPL is because our junglers are much more aggressive. They will do risky decisions, and that did start with a very early gank in the bottom lane. You know, 2 kills going to SMLZ. Firstly, that's OMG's win condition, and secondly, that's a big one for RNG that goes a little bit to waste for the next 10-odd minutes before he starts getting going. And RNG were actually banking quite heavily on MLXG throughout that game. It's refreshing to see, you know, different carries come up for the team, but it never really got to the point where Uzi was going to be doing near as much as SMLZ was, because OMG were empowering him. They were actually treating it like 2016 RNG would play around their AD carries. They were giving him everything.
And it definitely showed. I mean, the fact that they prioritized that lane, as you said, they continually played to his side of the map. When he rotated into the unsafe top lane to push the tier 1, they set up Vision. They managed to bring Icon. They brought in World 6 as well, and they just broke the turret so they could get him to the safe mid-tier 1.
And the thing is, we spoke just before about MLXG perhaps being the good part of RNG during that early game, but he's also a part of the replay that I want to show you that lost them the rest of the game, because OMG had momentum, they had everything going for them, and the biggest problem that I found with them was actually that their jungler got caught. And it wasn't just that their jungler got caught, it was the shot calling that RNG have around him. The problem with RNG right now as a team of 5 is they commit to something they shouldn't be committing to. They rely on their mechanics or their individual ability to play the game and say that we're just better players, so we'll kill you because we are better players. And then it backfires completely. The first big example of this is going to be this Drake. MLXG, I want to steal it. So what does your team do? Why are they watching you steal it, expecting you to get out alive next to a Shen, right? because he gets to go down, the fact that OMG now have extra targets to chase down and try and be a threat towards gifts them the Baron. Like, if you're going to throw your Gragas at them to steal the objective, either don't steal the objective and run away as 5, or just let him die and at least be 4. And, like, honestly, that is a big blunder.
Yeah, huge mistake from them that ended up allowing OMG to continue their early game momentum, though we did still see the mechanical plays from OMG answer back with the ensuing team fight almost 2 minutes later.
Yeah, it was basically MLXG threw the game, gave it to OMG because they capitalized on the Baron, and then immediately as OMG were pushing with the Baron, MLXG's like, it's fine, I can fix this, casts and kills all of the Baron.
Yeah, exactly. So, thoughts on MVP? We talked a little bit about SMLC's huge impact. Was that enough?
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. 7-1 and 7, 88% kill participation. Huge performance from him this time.
Yeah, absolutely monster. Putting up numbers like 37% as a Lucian, pretty difficult thing to do. There's a lot of small details that you may have missed during the game for those watching as well, where he was able to completely outplay Nah.
Yeah.
Not just once, not just twice, but 100 times. And this team fight is the best example of it,
His
because the
sidestep.
QSS usage is the most important thing here. So watch this. Mega Nah will come in, and when Mega Nah comes in, SMLZ's ability to QSS and dodge. This is what actually wins them the whole team fight here. Ready?
I mean, leaps in, slam, QSS, dodge.
That dodge means that he's going to kill the Nah. Like, plain and simple, that is what gives them the team fight. Of course, the front line is doing well. Icon's doing a lot of work with Xiang. World 6 kicks the Nah away to give time as well. But all of these things compound to your damage dealer still needs to do damage, and he was doing it perfectly.
Yeah, well, that performance is more than enough to win them game number 1. The question is, what do they need to do to close out a series and turn this into a 2-0? I mean, you yourself said you're expecting this to be a 2-1. Are you still sticking by that?
Yeah, I think that RNG might actually take it much more seriously in the early game. Coming into the second game, we already kind of alluded towards the fact that maybe they're just playing on, mechanics alone.
Yeah.
Their strategy isn't going 100% in. They might be focusing more on what the playoffs become and improving in the background. But you don't want to lose to OMG.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose to the old Chinese team as the other old Chinese team. There's actually a lot of pride there.
I mean, you even saw the fan vote. A lot of the fans in China are rooting for OMG. This is a huge, or excuse me, RNG. This is a huge organization with a very long history. Not to say that OMG isn't, but I mean, comparatively in more recent years, RNG feels like they should have more impact.
We also have Uzi on their team. He's probably like the most popular player next to Clearlove, except Uzi is actually playing right now. But you don't want that dark spot on the record. And so I think the first change that we're going to see is that MLXG will not be playing Gragas. He's going to play an aggressive jungler, and I think we're going to see them competing for the Lee Sin, or more importantly, I think the Elise.
Yeah, I think actually Lee Sin comes up as a big point of contention. Elise usually just hits the ban list, unfortunately, at the moment in the LPL. The #1 jungler, it seems, and that's where Lee Sin comes into play for me. These junglers, it's about who can be aggressive, right? We saw this last time RNG played. There was like an Ivern, slow, calm game. RNG didn't look the same. MLXG picks Lee Sin, immediately ganks and destroys everybody. And that is the RNG you expect to see in Game 2.
Yeah, and again, sort of speaking towards that pick priority, OMG this game, we said that they kind of picked for lane power, individual lane dominance, excluding, of course, Xiang into that Gnar because that was counterpicked. Is that a strategy that could work for them in game number 2? Can they just rely on those strong lanes to get them through early game?
For OMG?
Yes.
It is one of the hardest things for them to rely upon. I would say if you were OMG and you pick for only winning lanes, there is a very high chance that that backfires. Xiaohu's a great laner. Letme's been doing really well, and you're versing Uzi in laning phase, so that's super risky.
But in the same sense, I kind of understand why OMG did it, because they're against such strong laners. They almost have to make sure that they get like equal or winning lane matchups just to stay even with the likes of Xiaohu, Uzi, and Letme.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of where the junglers come into play, though, because their bottom lane was much less a win lane. It was a lose lane until the jungler comes type of comp.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they can turn it around in game number 2. We're going to take a quick break while we get that ready. Welcome back, folks. We're just about ready to get into game number 2. The stadium in Shanghai is absolutely popping. It is packed with OMG and RNG fans, and we are excited to see whether or not RNG's fans will get their due in this, because they are the #1 team in the league right now. Highest win-loss ratio. Sure, they've lost to WE, they've lost to IMA, but there is also a chance that they lose to OMG here. They're down 1 game.
Yeah, there is a very high probability, and the weirdest thing about this right now, we look at OMG being 1-0, we never would have said that at the start of the split, but coming into this match, it wasn't unexpected this would happen. However, the fact that it did is always going to be surprising.
Yeah.
There's also the question that, you know, what form or what level of RNG are they actually playing on? We know that they're locked into their semifinal position. There's not actually a lot at stake, whereas OMG are still fighting for that 2nd place spot. If they win here, they will guarantee themselves into the playoffs and finally lock themselves in. So there's definitely the fire inside of them.
Yeah, they are fighting. They are getting closer and closer after the performance in game number 1. They're going to look for a repeat in game number 2. Question is, will RNG come back at full power? Is this a team that sort of played at 80% for game number 1? We can just out-mechanics them.
I think they ended the game at close to 100. They were definitely playing their hearts out. It's more about the strategy, the pick ban, the draft phase, and, you know, not the execution as to how they actually play this one out. Because there is a lot that RNG could improve on based off game 1. But I feel like they'll just attack it more aggressively at the start.
But I think it really starts with MLXG, like you said, at the start with the jungle. You can see that Firefox coach was leading MLXG next to him as they were walking back onto the stage, giving him some words. So I would assume that we're going to see a big change up from RNG from their jungler.
Yeah, that Gragas. I mean, you mentioned it in the cast. If there was a reason that they lost the game, it was that decision to sort of fight over the Mountain Dragon, the replay that you showed, Rusty. So certainly we're going to see MLXG take a much more intelligent setup around
But
this.
that was less MLXG again. It was more RNG as a team, right? If you're going to steal a dragon, Gragas, you can do whatever you want, mate. But you just have to have the team understand the shot calling, and that's the thing that I'm a little bit disappointed in RNG with. Ming is a very good shot caller. One thing we raised about 3 odd weeks ago, though, when RNG were losing games, is can Ming shot call when the game is losing for RNG, or is he just a really good when-ahead shot caller, which is why he plays champions like Leona, brings his jungler down and immediately gets himself ahead. Yeah. I think this is a good opportunity for him against a strong jungle, strong bottom lane, and evenly matched perhaps lanes to see if he can shot call them through.
And that's how they'll need to set this up going into the next game, looking towards that draft so they can come out at a strong advantage and continue that momentum.
Yeah, to me, the one thing I do want to bring up regarding draft is I would be surprised if we actually do see that again. I think there should be something else up there for Let Me.
Yeah.
Perhaps he plays the Gragas.
Certainly. Well, RNG with pick priority have elected to take blue side. Rusty, thank you so much for your analysis. He'll be joining us after this set to break down what's going on. As you can see, we're already in Fizz, Kog'Maw, and Rengar, again banned away from OMG. No changes from them. Meanwhile, that is Camille, Ivern, and Rumble. So identical bans outside of that Rumble being moved to Phase 1, and immediately MLXG scoops himself up that Lee Sin.
And that's the big difference as they move over into the blue side, is the pick priority into jungle. That said, Elise is still up and available, as is Graves, so World 6 has his pick of the litter of how he wants to respond to this. I would expect it would be, I was going to say Shin Lulu.
Or do they continue to prioritize the jungle? It's time for World 6 to really step up. He's got a whole bunch of Graves games available, and Graves is open.
You don't want to pick the Graves here just yet, just because it's not going to be picked anyway by RNG. You would have to pick it before 2nd rotations of ban, unless you think that... Whoa, Nami!
Nami before Lulu from OMG. Perhaps they know something that we don't, or perhaps it could just be that lane priority, and knowing that SMLZ is going to take trades with Uzi, so to keep him topped off, they get someone with heals.
Could also mean that they're going to change up gears and look for a different AD carry, or maybe they have that much faith into the Lucian. So it can go 2 ways. Either you're looking at a Caitlyn or you're looking at a Lucian. And now it's RNG kind of their choice of whether they want to deny this away. Which they're not going to, because they're going to go back to that Ashe route.
Ashe picked up once again for Uzi. Huge performance in game number 1. Despite dying in the bottom lane, he was able to keep even in CS, and more importantly, keep even in items, despite coming out of the laning phase at a deficit.
And it is Ming, so it doesn't mean that they have to take the Lulu here. They could actually pick up either a top laner because they know it's the Shin, or maybe they can go, there you go, going for the top lane. Technically, it's still a flex pick because it can go into that bottom side. We expect it'll go into the hands of Let Me, but I feel like Ming is going to go towards his Leona.
That's not Graves.
That is not Graves. It's not locked in.
A little bit of fun coming out of Icon as he gets ready for this.
That's
Really, would you prioritize the Elise over the Graves in this matchup?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, well, the Elise it is.
Elise with Shin is why I would prioritize it over the
Prioritize and
Graves.
resets.
Exactly. So much more pressure about looking up to those dives, making sure that you're building big waves. At this point, though, you have to think that RNG is going to second rotation of ban, that they need to take away Caitlyn, they need to take away Lucian. But that means that Echo might slide through.
Let's see what they decide to focus down towards that bottom lane. Again, OMG will have pick coming out of this, so Gragas is now banned away.
Wow, so they suspect that it's a...
Support Nautilus.
Watch the next ban be Leona. Like, we don't know where you're going, but we don't like this.
Very specific picks. And again, it's sort of following up on RNG, the brute force. They're just better than you, so sometimes they can drop in the Solar Eclipse. They can drop in the Cask to force these fights.
The scary thing for RNG, though, is who do you focus? Do you focus out Icon or do you focus out SMLZ? Do you let the Echo go through? They're going to focus out Icon, so they're going to leave it up to Ming and Uzi to think that they are strong enough that they can go toe-to-toe with this Lucian Nami that we think is going to come out of OMG.
Alrighty, so OMG, very different priorities from RNG. Who do they target this time? We're still looking for mid and AD carry from OMG. We're looking for mid and potentially topper support, depending on where that Nautilus goes from RNG. So a bit more flexibility once again. But yeah, that Kled you mentioned, they let the ban go through. Hand immediately goes up for OMG, so 5 missing his ban right there. We did see the hand go up in the background. We should be getting out of this in just a moment.
Firefox, hand to
Yeah.
face. Not again.
Still not seeing any pause just yet, as the timer is just being run out. Talon is actually now going to be banned away, so perhaps OMG not quite getting that ban that they wanted in here. If they pick a champion right here, then it continues through the pick and ban phase.
It's hard to get anything from SMLZ. If there's a problem, they're going to go ahead and go through. So, ban missed.
Yeah, very interesting. Perhaps a bit of a statement from OMG.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
There's pretty much no advantage to doing that when you're on red side because you pick immediately after it.
Very curious. But SMLZ is returning to that Lucian Nami bottom lane. We've got a chance to see the moo cow. Oh, man. Time to break out your cowbells.
More cowbell. Nah, man,
Alrighty.
come on. This guy, plays Leona, thinks he's Yellow Star. What is this? It checks out.
He is the only person to play Leona. 5 out of 5 times Ming has played Leona. He has won every single time.
Yeah. But it goes back to that idea of the confidence. You know, they decided to pinch Icon. Icon still has the Echo available now that the Talon and the Jace have been removed from him. It works really well with their composition that likes to dive a lot. So you have an incredibly potent and powerful bottom lane from OMG. And if they locked Echo in here, then you have Echo, Elise, and Shin for dive.
Oof.
Oh, he's going even farther.
Oh, man. Or Icon just going one-on-one, toe-to-toe, mano-y-mano.
So this is why they went the direction of the Talon, is because you have the Elise and the Shin for magic damage, that you need some sort of supplement AD damage. And as I say that, he's like, nope, 90-degree turn.
Ah. Giving us all a quick heart attack as he decides to swap over for the much more intelligent and tactical pick. Still excellent at diving and roaming across the map. Last time we saw Icon sort of fill a supplementary role for SMLZ. He has a much more potent opportunity in this game to set up for strong flanking plays for his team and continue to funnel them towards success if he can set up flanks. He's got to do that against Lee Sin, Nautilus, Leona, LeBlanc. That is a lot of crowd control. That is a lot of pick if he ever finds himself out of position.
But the thing is RNG haven't been able to really utilize a lot of their pick potential. They've had this pretty much exact same composition that they did last game. You know, some of the pieces have been changed. It's the Leona now. You've got another Nautilus, so a good beefy front line to follow up in a 5v5. But they had Ash Arrow as well as LeBlanc and Gragas Cast, and they were unable to transition that into a win. So hopefully their pick works much better this time around. OMG, their composition still suffers in terms of sieging. It's incredibly reliant on Talia to wall off objectives to give them a wave for free, especially against all of that abundant wave clear still in RNG's comp.
Yeah, it'll take a lot to set these plays up in advance. And of course, OMG still looking very strong if they manage to fight, if they manage to find that crowd control. We've seen how excellent Uzi is with his arrows. I think he missed, what, a grand total of 2 in the previous game?
Some of them he threw very late, however. You think about that very last team fight that ended up costing them the game.
All of them, yeah. So perhaps he can tighten things up, get the car running a little bit more smooth as OMG are looking to close out the series 2-0, and RNG are trying to bring it back.
But this is the prediction with RNG. This is a very telegraphed composition that they run. They've done the Leona multiple times. As you said, 5 out of 5, 100% win rate. But this is how it works. Lee Sin will start jungle on the top side of the map. He will then make a beeline straight for bottom side. At level 3, it will be an all-in engage with MLXG and Ming leading the charge. And you have to know that SMLZ and 5 see that coming.
Yeah. They've got the Elise for pretty fast clear as well, plus some reset if they find themselves out of position, plus Lucian and Nami are generally a very safe bottom lane if they allow themselves to play back, especially against the likes of an Ashe, who can be tossing out those volleys left and right. So we'll keep an eye on that very early start. Of course, that means that the other lanes will be a little bit volatile as well, knowing that they won't be getting an early interaction. Xiaohu perhaps can take a much more aggressive route against Icon in this game on that Talia, and let me probably feeling pretty good about getting that stronger pick in the top lane, that Nautilus into Shen.
What I also like is the fact that both these teams want to play around the bottom lane. So you have the Ashe on one side, and then you have Shen on the other. So I feel like it's just going to be this race. Like, will the Ashe Arrow connect? Will the Stan United get channeled all the way through? And it should just be, again, another explosive and very volatile game between SMLZ and Uzi. These two titans clashing. And that's the thing. Uzi's been around forever. He has the international fame and renown and glory behind him. He's the name that everyone knows. But it was almost such a different world where it could have been SMLZ. He was the guy that was chosen by Wei Xiao. It was supposed to be him, not Uzi, that was the great AD carry. But unfortunately, he never made it that far. It was always Uzi standing in his way at one point or another. He disappeared down to the LSPL. He now comes back. He's the veteran player next to Xiang on this OMG very young lineup. They've taken one game from RNG and Uzi. SMLZ, this would just be the icing on the cake.
If you could finally give it back to Uzi and say, who's the better AD now?
Should have been me at the World Finals.
Yeah, Uzi only has 2 expressions. Either way, neither of them would be an appropriate response to that sort of question. Angry Uzi? Happy Uzi? I don't know.
SMLZ has 1 expression, so let's be honest.
He's even one-upping him in that. You've got 2 expressions, I've got 1. Oh, 1.5. He smirks occasionally.
I don't know. There's a good picture of him after they had their
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
their 2-0 victory, where he is just like
full grin.
Exactly, ear to ear teeth.
Oh man, very serious faces from RNG as they get into this. Looks like they are set to be taking this one deadly serious. 5,
no emotion.
Yeah.
He's pretty much the perfect duo partner for his partner in crime next to him. You just look at that bottom lane, just straight face. You guys are up 6 kills. What's
they're
happening?
Like bouncers. Always dead serious. You can never break through that veneer, that exceptional mask. MLXG looking to have a much more confident performance in this game. The Gragas very slow, very patient in game number 1. World 6 was the one who set the pace early on and got OMG that advantage. Can he do it again? This time taking Elise into MLXG's Gragas. And just a few weeks ago, there were conversations over who's the best jungler in the league. Is it MLXG or is it Kandi? If World 6 is putting him on his toes, then MLXG might have to do some serious thinking.
And now we even need to introduce Firelolly into that conversation.
Yeah.
After the shellacking that he gave Kandi the other day.
Yeah.
That was brutal to watch for Team WE fans. But MLXG, I mean, we talked about SMLZ's comeback story and his rise to glory. The other really cool story on RNG is MLXG. When he came into the LPL, he was this no-name Chinese jungler. in a region that was stacked with the likes of Dandy. Clearlove was still running around at his prime. This is when Dark Clearlove was dominating the Rift.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very scary ecosystem of junglers in the LPL, and MLXG carved out a name for himself. And not only did it domestically, but did it internationally. And so now he gets to come back in and say, I am one of the best junglers in China, if not one of the best junglers in the world after my MSI performance. But you need to make it count, and you want to have that return form.
Yeah. It's time to see if he can live up to it. You just saw the coaches shaking hands. That means the players are now on their own. So a lot of extra advice these two teams have gotten over the past few seconds. Will it be enough as we are now set to load onto the Rift? You can see the players are laughing and smiling.
Like,
Icon looks very happy.
Man, we should have banned that Leona. Why didn't we ban anything? It's fine. It's Leona. This is the thing. I worry that if RNG make it to the international stage, it's so easy to look them up and be like, okay, this team plays Leona. But I feel like every other team will be like, so let them play Leona. That's a terrible pick. Oh God, what have we done?
They'll experience the horror of Ming on Leona. Oh man.
It'll be against G2 as well. The EU, oh man, I need to watch the EU LTS playoffs to make sure that G2 are still in it. I believe Splice fell to Misfits.
We have been so focused on our own ecosystem. Finally, we are set to load to the Rift. Our composition's on screen right now. It is do or die time. That final ban, an open spot on the bottom of your screen beneath OMG. A statement, a mistake, we'll find out at the result of this game.
If they lose, definitely a mistake.
If they win, definitely a statement.
We did this without a ban.
It was deliberate. But everyone is now forward. You can see RNG are already racing out. It's game number 2 between RNG and OMG. They get a quick ward onto the
Raptor camp?
Raptor camp.
That is a very loud crowd.
Oh, yeah. 2 chants per team, 4 total come across, filling the air. As now everyone decides to reset. Xiaohu dancing back and forth, keeping Icon occupied.
Ihan. Like IHOP. But in a sass, I don't know. Painkillers. It's a long day, Dom.
It's like an international house of Nutella. You can see similar summoner spells. Thunderlords for 3 on OMG. We're seeing the exact same from RNG, but Courage of the Colossus is the name for Ming. Very easily procced. And looks like, yeah, as you predicted, both junglers starting topside and getting a leash as they both start on the buff.
But all eyes have to be on this Lee Sin. How quickly will he get to the bottom lane, and how well will it work with Ming? Ming is incredibly aggressive when he plays Leona, and basically it works like this. As soon as the waves are cleared out, and in between the 2 waves crashing, that's when Leona wants to go in, because she doesn't want to take any of the extra minion damage. So it's really important that SMLZ and 5 keep control of those creep waves, make sure that they always have the larger horde to punish the melee support when she comes in aggressively, as well as making a point that when Leona comes in, are the areas that she's going to look for when she comes in.
Icon got level 2 off of 6 creeps and was able to pull back and set up a very quick ward in the river. Do experienced Quints give you level 2 off of 6 creeps?
I haven't played around with the experience.
Yeah. That's very fast. You can see World 6 is well aware of this. He's got supplementary vision. He immediately goes over to the scuttle. And Ming is going to face, or MLXG is going to face check right into World 6. Elise gets the jump on him, starts burning him down, transforms, and that's 300 health on MLXG. There's the repel follow-up, tries to get some more. Auto attack, red buff burning down, but Xiaohu turns around to save him. 5 is up there as well. The faster response from OMG keeps MLXG out of this.
And this wins at least 2 lanes, if not 3 positions if you include the jungle. So World 6 has the jump on LXG, he's going to force him back as well as take his Raptor camp. And he gets to do this because there's priority push of SMLZ and 5 on bottom lane, as well as that cheeky ward that was placed by Icon. So mid lane has the advantage, jungle has the advantage, OMG have the advantage.
Yeah, things are looking very good for OMG once again as MLXG is off to a slow start. A very aggressive invade from World 6 catches him unaware, and he gets the worst of it. Ming now, level 2, is not able to rush into the bottom lane, And he won't be having any help from MLXG anytime soon either.
And look at Icon. He then places his trinket again on his own Raptor camp. So they're going to catch out MLXG as he's trying to trade back for equal farm. You would expect he would then either path towards jungle for, or excuse me, mid lane for a cheeky gank, or walk up towards the Krug camp. What will World 6 do with this information?
Xiang is actually pushed up against his turret, so he has the opportunity to go over there right now. You can see he's currently invading towards the Krugs. Looks like World 6 is set to trade this. He's invading back towards the bottom side. He's got his own ward on the Krugs of MLXG. And Xiang on top of it this game pulls back in between the waves, lets the Krugs reset.
They're just denying these really tiny micro advantages away from MLXG, because now it's going to be a free camp for World 6 or a free gank because he's actually sliding in, spotted by a ward.
Yeah, he gets very deep behind enemy lines. He's going to have to feint back towards Ming. Tosses out the Spiderling, gets the Cocoon as well. Do they have enough damage? They do! First Blood World 6 teleport completed from Xiaohu. He shows up bottom. That means Icon can free farm mid. Almost gets a kill onto 5, but not a summoner spell was burned.
And that's just so careless from Ming. You understood what he wanted to do, but he just kind of lost himself in the game for a second. He wanted to use his Zenith Blade on the Elise and quickly reposition himself to get out as opposed to burning the flash. But because he's so greedy to hold that summoner spell, instead of getting the Zenith Blade, he just eats the Cocoon, has it chain CC'd into a bubble, and dies.
Yeah.
Like, no excuse. You still have flash. Just burn it.
Yeah, could this be the very first time we get to see Ming lose on Leona? We're about to find out as Xiaohu makes his way back into the mid lane. Immediately, Icon tries to punish him with the threaded volley. Just harassing this lane, so already opening up a mild CS advantage.
Fun fact. Uzi is the curse of OMG. Have you heard this?
I have not.
Okay, think about every single time that RNG walked into a World Finals. Who was the team that they went through to do it?
Starhorn Royal Club, RNG,
It was OMG.
OMG.
It's always, the joke always is that OMG are like the front linemen and Uzi's like the football. And OMG does all the hard lifting. You know, they beat the Korean team, whereas RNG gets to go through like a European or an NA team.
Yeah.
And then just like Uzi meets a Chinese team and then just bops them. And then makes his way into the World Final. He's done it twice now. And then the year that he was actually on OMG, they lost and they didn't even get to go to the World Championship. It was like OMG saying, we can actually avoid the Uzi curse if we put Uzi on our team. There's no way he can screw us this time. And then they didn't even go.
Yeah.
The irony.
Oh, man. Well, now they get to play against him. They get the opportunity to demonstrate, all right, fine, we'll play against you, but we'll just be better.
This would be like the first time that OMG ever beat Uzi.
Yeah. I mean, they've done it so far in game number 1. Can they continue forward? Xiaohu gets level 6 and trades out a little bit with Icon. You can see junglers on bottom side of the map. Some very deep wards from 5 and World 6 to keep an eye on MLXG. But intelligently enough, Let Me does the same on the opposite side. He sees the red buff as it respawns. He'll see World 6 if he goes in, but Ming forces a fight, and MLXG ganks bottom. 5 is the target. He flashes. That's heal used, but the lack of summoner spells used earlier keeps them alive.
Excellent sidestep from 5 there to make sure that the Sonic Wave didn't connect. That should have been the follow-up and possibly the kill onto the Nami because the bubble missed. So, missed the initial mechanical ability with bubble, but made up for it on the back half.
Yes. Good setup from OMG to keep themselves alive. Still maintaining a mild CS advantage, and they do have assists on both SMLZ and 5. Nowhere near as big an advantage as they did have in game number 1, but now a lot less kill threat comparatively. SMLZ gets culling and immediately starts pushing forward a little bit more.
Yeah, but there's no double kill on the Lucian, so much better start this time around. It's only going to get more volatile for OMG when Ming and Uzi get the level 6, because then you're dealing with Solar Flare as well as Arrow. It means that World 6 and Icon need to start getting involved out here. That's a teleport.
They're collapsing onto Icon and World 6, who have been spotted going for a ward. It's completed. Let Me at level 7. Lands a hook onto his Spiderling. That gets him in range for the depth charge. They follow up with a CC lock. He's going to have to come down eventually. Drops in as Xiang joins the fight. There's a kill for SMLZ. A double! You said it wasn't there, and immediately it turns around as RNG take a fight and throw it.
They are so desperate for that. The fact that Let Me overreach, you know, he finds the dredge line and follows it up with the depth charge there on Elise. He's just going to repel.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
With that greedy play, that's Mountain Dragon picked up very early. 8 minutes and 30 seconds for OMG. Here it is again. It looks good, but it's an Elise.
It's the wrong target, that's what it is. So he hits the Spiderling, pulls him in range. You have a nice follow-up of trying to chain the CC between the Leona stun, but the repel comes up by the time she lands. Surprise! I've got Shin on top of me. Nautilus is like, this is a terrible mistake.
I've made a terrible mistake.
You guys told me to go. I trusted you. He's literally that guy in the water basket with the Viking hat. You've seen this meme? It's old. Where everything's flooded. And he's like, do the laundry, they said. It'll be fine, they said.
It's an older meme, sir, but it checks out. Well,
I know,
we'll have to see if the access codes are enough to get RNG through the Rebel base.
I appreciate you reaching deep to make that work.
Yeah.
I know I can always count on you, Dom.
Because it's not just a meme. There's always the origin of the meme, the implications of it, the different variations. There's really a whole culture around it.
Yeah, you should ask Pulse about it.
Pulse just says Kappa, and then he'll walk away.
Pog champ.
Yeah, yep, that's the one.
I bet Twitch that's just spamming
No,
that face.
please.
Make it stop!
But, I mean, you said it again. They were already set into a slight advantage by getting that first blood onto Ming and setting it up onto World 6. And then you mentioned, there's no double kill on SMLZ. Things are fine for RNG. 30 seconds later, fight. Double kill onto SMLZ.
Right back where we were.
Exactly.
But rinse, wash, and repeat. MLXG is like, this time it'll work. Throw the arrow.
Oh, man.
Who are they going to hit?
Try me.
So Uzi's walking up into Fog of War so he can throw the arrow blind, so there's less time to react. You see the ping go down?
Yeah, Icon's actually heading down towards that side, and they're bringing World 6 as well. Where is that Lee Sin? Uzi's out of vision.
Checking his raptor camp. He's not forming raptors.
There's the arrow.
Oh.
5. Clutch sidestep.
This guy is so good. 5 started as a Thresh 1 trick, and the champion used to be banned away from him, very similar to how Cloud is on QG.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to kind of see his progression and his evolution to kind of this caster support catch-all.
Oh, World 6 gets the cocoon and early damage onto MLXG. Chain knocks him up. He gets into the air, but the Shatter Orb doesn't proc. He comes right back down. There's the auto. Follow-up from Xiaohu. Manages to get the kill as Ming rotates around. He was thinking about it. He was like, do I flash? No.
I love it. You just see the Leona ult on the very tip of your screen. You're like, when did Ming get here?
Yeah.
What is this guy doing? But showcasing the fact that he is the shot caller for RNG. So even though it was MLXG and Xiaohu that were setting up that play there, which worked successfully for them, it was the shot caller following it up saying, charge, go, kill him.
An excellent reaction from RNG. They pushed in bottom and started to swing towards mid. Uzi was just a little bit late, of course, have to clear out the CS.
Is he late or is he purposely choosing to farm?
It's Uzi. You never can tell.
He was definitely like, that guy's dead. I would rather farm.
Always can tell, actually, with him as Icon clears out the wave. But trades just a bit with Xiaohu. World 6 goes right back to the scene of the crime. I was like, oh, yes, bullet casings.
But he has to be there because Icon no longer has his flash. He does still have cleanse, so not in too much danger away from the chain, but definitely the burst potential. So there is a target bottom because the ultimates are about to come back up from Uzi and Leona, but there's also a target mid lane because Talia is a low mobility, just like free food, like, what is it, golden buffet, country buffet? I'm really hungry.
We'll try to get you a snack in between the games, but right now, focus, Frostgaren.
I can't.
Focus.
Oh, God.
12 and a half minutes in game number 2. This could go to game number 3 even. There's only 800 gold separating the teams, and though OMG have got an advantage, back onto SMLZ, they've got that first Mountain Drake. Another one is spawning in 2 minutes. World 6 has actually got lane pressure, or excuse me, Xiang has actually got lane pressure this time. You can see him now taking Scuttle Crab on that side of the map. He's got Stand United, he's got Teleport. If fight breaks out, he is ready.
That said, Letme can just follow it up with the teleport as well. He's been on point with it. He's also got push priority, so he'll get the early advantage or early rotation. You can see him cheating down towards the river, which RNG have full control over.
Yeah, and I like the change-up from Xiang's build, going for that Tiamat against the Nautilus so that he can clear the wave, so that he can get out there faster. And you see them sort of trading the minion waves back and forth as they continue to move around the map, knowing that a fight could break out as World 6 and 5 start setting up vision.
I wanted to talk about Sunfire, but we might not get a chance to do it. Sit in the bush. Who are they going to catch? They were spotted by Hawkshot.
Yeah, they should have been seen there. Ming sees this fresh ward. He knows that somebody's nearby. Red buff is being stolen. MLXG drops a ward. Does he try for the Sonic Wave?
They're just going to take it and blast plant
Oh,
out.
they've caught 5. There's the arrow as well. Do they have enough crowd control? They do, in fact. World 6 is still caught as well. 2 quick kills for RNG as they snap shut the jaws of the trap.
And finally, the trap actually works. So Xiang picked the wrong target there. Poor little 5 didn't get a shield, and he didn't get to even make it to the team fight, as Elise quickly followed after that. Good job by Ming to deny the blast plant as well.
It's a great idea, but if you're crowd controlled for 6 consecutive seconds, it makes it a little difficult to get an auto attack. Perhaps relying on SMLZ to pop it over the wall.
They're sieging up mid.
They are. Blue buff is being stolen by MLXG, but 3 members of RNG push Icon back with SMLZ bottom. That's not a lot of wave clear that can get there. Xiaohu feels safe just pushing in aggressively as they bring Uzi towards that lane. SMLZ finally rotates to group up with the rest of his team, but it's still a 200 gold deficit as RNG have reclaimed tempo.
And tempo will continue to go into their favor because, again, if you look at the cooldowns between the Ashar and the Leon ultimate, they're about to come back up. And that's going to be another big window where Stan United won't be there, and then she can make a play.
Yeah,
so I like the fact that World 6 is like, we can't fight, but I can take Dragon by myself because I'm Elise.
Trying to steal it out right now. He actually staggers all of his spiderlings on top of it. So MLXG and Ming immediately rush right on in. World 6 has got to get the heck out of dodge. SMLZ is split from his team right now.
And again, it's just to emphasize that OMG, the only play that they wanted to make there was to sneak the dragon, not to fight for the dragon. They recognize that they're on the back foot right now, although Lucian's pretty strong, but when you chain CEC lock him with Arrow, Solar Flare, not so great anymore. So it was a good attempt, the only play that they really had available. They're just waiting for Stan United before they can kind of maybe step up toe-to-toe for RNG.
Oh, the arrow's tossed. SMLZ again with a crisp reaction, just sidesteps.
Has he hit a single arrow?
Uzi has, yes.
1?
He caught 5. He caught SMLZ once. He was able to get World 6.
He's only thrown
the first
4
game.
arrows. No, this game.
Oh, in this game, no. He's not been doing great. Let me actually catches mid undefended. Xiang completes his teleport as World 6 eats some damage. So again, RNG, they're finding the tempo in this and pulling OMG around the map. Slowly but surely, they're losing out on a little bit of turret health here, summoner spell there, these tiny objectives.
Hold on, though. Let me still hear.
Flash, depth charge. Oh, but a good flash from Icon gets him to safety and behind the turret.
Yep, to block the dredge line that would come in. But this is big. Let Me is actually forcing a lot of summoner spells out from Xiang simply because he has that push priority. And it goes back to the build that Xiang has. So he has the Tiamat as well as the MR as opposed to going Sunfire Cape. Normally the Shins will go Sunfire to help them compensate for their push, but because it's against a magic dealer, he doesn't want the armor or the health. He wants the MR but needs to match it anyway. So I like the adaptation to the build. Unfortunately, Let Me is still running circles around him and forcing him to burn summoner spells needlessly.
Yeah, Let Me has got his teleport right now. So again, the attempt at a dragon sneak from World 6 is spotted out by a ward from Ming. And the situation defuses. SMLZ is still doing a great job in this bottom lane. 20 CS ahead of Uzi, about 15 once this wave clears out. Still feeling really good about this upcoming fight if he can stay alive. There is so much damage coming out of RNG as they are starting to hit their own brief power spikes.
And there's so much more threat towards the backline this time around. Not only is there a point-and-click depth charge that can go back there, but also the fact that Xiaohu and Leona can reach back into that Lucian. So he no longer just gets to sit back and kite.
Yeah, and MLXG is in fact the one who can sneak the Baron. As World 6 is kept occupied by Xiaohu in the mid lane, the map is slowly but surely falling apart for OMG. RNG are just moving faster. Again, a poor recall from Icon leaves his mid-tier 1 undefended. This could be the first turret right here, right now.
It's 100% falling. It's not the question of where do they rotate to next. Do they try to collapse into the bottom lane or try to dive the Shin top?
So far, it looks like they're staying in the lane.
Icon's going top lane, but he's spotted out by the ward.
Yeah, Xiaohu's making his way up. And Icon sees this.
Excuse me, I'm so used to seeing Icon play LeBlanc.
Xiaohu hops in to clear out the wave. So things are much slower this game. We're seeing RNG play a much more tactical map. just using a little bit more thought to pull OMG apart instead of just brute forcing them. But they are still having exceptional mechanical plays.
A lot of this is on the back of Ming and Xiaohu's individual performances, though. Ming constantly cheating up into the topside river, trying to set up plays or at least participating in the back half of plays, being in the area at least a shot call for it. But the big proponent is Xiaohu and how hard he's winning his lane and how much attention he is absorbing from World 6.
That attention is yielding a lot of results so far. Uzi is now able to get back very close in CS. Still down about 15, but not seeing too much less than that as he completes his own Blade of the Ruined King and Zeal. Xiaohu getting a little bit larger. We're seeing MLXG go for some damage now as he goes for a Tiamat second instead of into tankiness. So again, RNG are relying on quick picks and burst with their chain CC. With pressure in the mid lane and pressure in the bottom, looks like they're ready to collapse on that bottom lane.
And that's a lot of pings. Here comes the arrow.
Yeah, they're trying to catch SMLZ, and they have found him. The arrow finds 5. Solar Flare seems to lock that support down, stand united, and heal. But here's Xiaohu. The chains find SMLZ, and they get him despite a great bubble from 5. It is not enough. The Weaver's Wall is too little too late.
And the play has been made. Xiang doesn't even get the chance to follow up and be that shit on the bottom, which is why the Weaver's Wall is immediately canceled, because there's no fight happening down there. It's going to be another tower for RNG, you would think, as soon as that wave crashes.
Yeah, Xiang, you can see him trading with Let Me a little bit up here. Finally able to be a little bit more effective in this damage, but RNG are answering back by taking the second turret in this game, and suddenly OMG are losing ground. Very slow and deliberate plays. They seem to be set to collapse onto Icon. He still has no summoner spells from the previous gank. Cleanse is tossed up. There's a depth charge. He is knocked into the heavens. World 6 finds Xiaohu, but he just doesn't have enough damage to burst through that LeBlanc.
And the cocoon doesn't connect, which means that they don't get the shutdown bonus on the LeBlanc. So a huge miss from World 6, and not normally the mechanical play that we see out of it. Taking a look at the bottom play, this is frankly, they know that all of the forces are converging onto the bottom lane. So the Stand United is cancelled from Xiang, which means that the Shin's not down there, which means the Taliyah wall just kind of throws this out as the attempt to save Nami, to put distance as opposed to join the rest of the fight.
SMLZ is trying to force down this bottom tier 1, perhaps at the cost of his life.
That's
Xiaohu and Ming
teleport.
are down there. There's the teleport you mentioned. They found 5 making his way out as that bottom tier 1 goes down. Arrow onto 5 plus a solar flare. And Ming is set to follow him over the wall with that blast cone. SMLZ makes his way to safety. Xiaohu continues to follow, and MLXG is there. Oh, SMLZ getting a little bit too greedy for the Gromp. Ends up going down in 5, now pinned in between a Nautilus and a Leona. Not a desirable position to be. And trying to give himself up. He's leading them on a very merry chase. He's actually stalling minions. Meanwhile, OMG are pushing top. They were able to take the top 2-1. So it's now even in turrets. Ming is just toying with his food at this point, batting it around like a cat. The mid-tier 2 was being pushed, but Icon was able to hold it. He had to burn his flash to do so. 5 is still going.
I don't know if it's Ming who's toying with his food or Nami toying with him.
There he goes. Ming finally gets it. A few limp flops. You can see a huge laugh and smile on his face. And 5, he's got a bit of a smile himself.
He was definitely chuckling. He dodged that Zenith Blade around the corner, turned on a dime.
Yeah. So despite those 2 deaths from OMG, they were able to answer back in turrets. They're still down about 2,700 gold. But this is not looking great for them. Though that certainly stalled out the momentum of any upcoming plays. Seems like they are going to try to catch Xiang up top.
It's pretty much that moment where they start to crack a little bit. You know, RNG, that serious face of like, come on, guys, we can't lose this series. Ming starts giggling a little bit. Ming?
You need to calm down. This is serious mode.
This is serious mode. You flash for that kill if you need to.
It's like when your mom is really angry at you, but then your dad is behind her, and he just gives you a little thumbs up, and you're like, yes, it was all worth.
I see what kind of parents you have.
Xiang does some good trading with Xiaohu. The turret is defended. He's got a lot of crowd control. He's brought MLXG up there as well. but they can't quite break through that Shen's health pool. Meanwhile, a bit of pressure out of SMLZ in the mid lane.
The scary thing is that they don't see where Icon is, so they know that Taliyah was looking to rotate up there, which is why they hesitate on diving the Shen, who has his taunt, who has his flash, who has a possible Taliyah sitting in his back pocket, as well as the Huntsman Spider running around.
Galloping, really.
They literally gallop.
Yeah.
Dom sat down one day and he's like, hey, did you know Huntsman Spiders gallop? Do you know what a spider looks like when it gallops, Dom?
It is amazing. It doesn't actually make... Anyways, that's a story for another time. Mountain Dragon is being taken by RNG. OMG decide to give it up. They've got Scuttle Crab, but a lot of good that's going to do them. As MLXG is just so fast at clearing that out. He's got Hex Drinker Tiamat. Last time I saw this build was when Rusty solo carried me in a solo game. This is very big performance from MLXG on this champion. Much stronger showing than his play on Gragas in game number 1.
And it's a double Mountain Dragon on top of a Blade of the Rune King build from Ashe, which means that early Baron is incredibly possible should RNG get a good fight.
Yeah.
So it becomes that much more important that OMG, they cannot slip up now because the game is, you know, a millisecond away from just cracking wide open.
Oh man, they're actually on the Baron. They've got 5 people here. There are no wards. There's one on the back of the pit from 5. They will spot him over here. Uzi does so much as Xiaohu opts to take a turret shot. They see that Icon's on the bottom side of the map, so the top tier 1 drops. The top minion wave is pushed in. And they continue to focus on this side lane pressure, defending the mid-tier 1 and setting up, but not executing yet.
And here's the thing, they have so much pick potential though. They have the LeBlanc, the Leona, as well as the Ashe. So they've now cleared out all of the vision. They've got push priority in mid and top lane. Someone from OMG is going to screw up, and hopefully it's not World 6.
It looks like it might be Xiong. He's trying to defend 1 versus 5. Finally, SMLZ gets there, but half the health on that tier 2 is worked away by Uzi and the rest of RNG as they get the heck out of dodge. And they still are pulling OMG around the map. Xiao, who has found Icon once again. He's on full split push mode on that Taliyah. We mentioned how strong the Taliyah can be when she's ahead. Can she have as much of an impact when she's behind?
If she's fighting in terrain, yes, just because she has so much control over changing the course of fights with her Weaver's Wall, as well as all of the AoE abilities that she has on her kit. Hold on, though. Here comes the pick.
They get a bubble on the MLSG. Flash Cocoon. Do they have enough crowd control to kill him? He's going low, but Flash is kept alive by his Hex Drinker. The arrow still catches SMLZ under his turret. He dies, pinned against the wall as Uzi lines it up and sinks it.
So compensates for the fact that he was whiffing those arrows for the better portion of the front half of this game. Finds one that matters, and they're now setting up to siege this tower, which Xiaohu's like, nope, not today. We're going to delay this.
Yeah, interesting. I've never actually seen the terrain with a sweeper on top of that. Tiny little rectangles. But they now have gotten onto the tier 2 turret. It will drop despite the bubble from 5. You can see they're already prepping bottom with Let Me. A quick rotation from RNG looks to crack this open. Xiong is trying to trade by pushing up top. He's got a Tiamat, so he's got pretty fast clear. Actually, excuse me, the Titanic. Though they will be trading 2 turrets for 1 and a kill. And it looks like OMG decides not to force the issue.
Which means that Xiong also needs to back up now because he doesn't know where RNG are. You saw that Uzi made his earlier back. He's now rushing towards the top side of the map. At this point, it's going to be a reset and back to a Baron dance. We're still waiting for that Cloud Drake to spawn. That said, it is Cloud, so we should still be playing towards the top side of the map for the rest of this game.
So Frosco, this is a very different game number 2 compared to game number 1, though we are seeing a similar composition out of RNG, just a little bit more go hard, go in. What is so different? What changed? I mean, SMLZ got the double kills. He had the advantage in lane. They were taking the early Dragon priority from World 6. As 5 looks to be caught, Sonic Wave catches him, and Xiong is able to get there in time to keep him alive.
But it's this guy on your screen that changed. It's Xiaohu. He's having a much better performance into the mid lane, and he's teaming up much better with MLXG. And he's denying a lot of World 6 and Icon. So yeah, SMLZ got the 2 kills. You know, he kind of went even in his lane just because there was so much attention going down to it, but there was no follow-up behind him. He didn't have his jungler, he didn't have his mid laner, and Uzi does.
Yeah. Speaking of follow-up, you can see what it looks like when the rest of your team is right behind you. They get some crowd control into Xiang and immediately force him away, but OMG are able to collapse behind him. The arrow finds Icon. He instantly cleanses, so Uzi is making up for his performance in game number 1 right now.
But that was a lot of big key ultimates used, especially that disengage ultimate from 5 there. They need to tend to their waves, which means that RNG now have priority on where they go next. Do we shove in mid lane? Do we look for another pick in the jungle?
And LXG again gets caught out. This time they do have enough crowd control to kill him.
There's no reason. RNG, that was your play to win. You were supposed to clear out the vision. You were supposed to wait for the arrow or the chains to then punish OMG. And MLXG just like turns the corner blind.
Oh, they've caught World 6 with a huge Zenith blade. They're forcing the fight. There goes the Weaver's Wall to split Ming off from his team. He flashes over, but Xiang locks him down. SLZ is grouped up. It's 5 versus 3 with a Mountain Dragon. Xiang, make up your mind. Baron or fight?
It looks like it's going to be Baron. They don't have MLXG, so there's no smite contest, but they do have a full health tank, and they want to fight.
Yeah, it's down to 4,000. Let me gets in there. Xiaohu gets huge damage onto Icon. Uzi's firing across his Xiang, misses his Shadow Dash. Baron is picked up by OMG. SMLZ's over the wall, trying to fire these shots. Xiang is so low, and Uzi is free firing. There's the Rizal. SMLZ is doing work. He eats another arrow as it comes off cooldown. It's not enough. Finally, he tries to get in there. Xiang keeps him standing, but only just. There's the shutdown onto Uzi. Let me drops. And OMG take the Baron and take the fight at the cost of what?
SMLZ is a god. I don't care what anyone says. He played that fight like a god. Yes, he has a whole team composition that's built behind him. And yes, they are all fighting behind him, you know, making sure that the cooldowns. But just look at his positioning for this. Okay. So you know it's going to be a fight. There's no smite contest from MLXG. World 6 is going to set it up, but it is SMLZ that ends it. Now watch SMLZ in the back right here. He's going to sidestep the first dredge line right there. He's like, oh crap, I'm in trouble. Has to flash away. SMLZ then is going to relentless pursuit away, allows the Shin to come in, find the taunt, and then turns it on and cleans up the rest of the fight.
Excellent communication with Xiang in that fight. Huge outplays to keep his team in this, despite being at a deficit. Now it's OMG who can finally start to break down this final Tier 1 turret, and almost opposite as MLXG looks for the insect. There's no flash from SMLZ. The crowd control is enough. He's dead. And Xiang will get one trade in answer, but it's up to Icon to do damage in return. There's no sign of Uzi. The arrow has found Icon. There's the Zenith Blade, plus the depth charge. Xiaohu is doing so much damage, but he flashes away from the ethereal chains. Repel means that World 6 tries to go for the outplay, but gives up his life. And again, an exact duplicate of game 1. The first fist is thrown, and the second one follows.
I am actually angry about how similar that was. Literally game number 1, like you said, RNG, MLXG in particular, messes up, gives away a free Baron. Same thing this time around. MLXG walks around a blind corner, gets picked off, it's a free Baron for OMG. Immediately afterwards, MLXG is like, it's fine, I got this, hold my beer, and then makes mechanical outplay and kills 2 Barons, I believe, possibly 3, not just 2, on OMG. That's frustrating.
Gotcha. The Baron buff. Yep. Huge setup. So that was only 2. That was World 6 and SMLZ. The rest of OMG were able to pull back. They've still got it for 70 seconds.
But why that's important is they still have 3 Barons left, which means that they can impact all 3 lanes with the Baron. Unfortunately, one of them is on the support. So most of the time you want it on the top lane or the mid laner and the jungle. But we'll see how they even this one out.
Yeah. So far, they've got 2 in the mid lane. Icon is split pushing once again. He'll have to answer Xiaohu, who is level 17, 6, 0, and 5. That is a really big LeBlanc. As Decoy will spot out 5, World 6, and SMLZ. Sonic Wave. There's the arrow. Oh, that narrowly missed. Even the bubble, just in case there were to be a follow-up. And they keep looking for the plays here, but SMLZ is able to sidestep most of it. Lock into the Iron Solari, soaks that culling, so very effective itemization.
But here's the thing, Xiang still has the Baron buff, and he's in the bottom lane, so this will be a free tower for OMG right about now. So generally and overall, they're still winning.
Yeah. This time, the Baron could actually lead to an advantage. Last time, they were down 700 gold when the Baron wore out. They're already 450 up, plus another 300 from that turret. Uzi, though, looks like he's trying to get in towards the mid lane. Letme's ready to flank.
Deep, deep flanks from 3 members of RNG.
Sonic Wave onto the minions. Xiaohu's trying to corral them, hurting OMG into the pen. They're stand united on that priority target. No chances for RNG to get in this.
Oh,
but
no.
the fight is turned. Weaver's wall has separated MLXG and Ming, but OMG, they get split around the wall and decide to back away, recognizing how important it is to stay as a collective unit.
Yeah, excellent positioning from Uzi in particular to stand and fight as soon as the wall started separating his team. He said, no, not today. I'm covering everyone's bases.
Huge setup from him, but now this means there are no big neutral objectives to take on the map. It's all about lanes and side control. LPL is answering bottom, but there's a huge wave building up top that someone will have to answer. Xiaohu is deep in enemy territory. He's not been spotted out just yet. And the Baron is almost 3 times as effective.
Xiang, though, is definitely in some trouble here. That's MLXG and Xiaohu.
He's 1v2. Do they have enough crowd control? They know he's got no stand united, blocking a few of these hits from the huge damage. Redemption, he gets back into it. It heals him up for 800 health. That buys a lot of time.
Here comes
Shield
his
turns
team.
himself around. They're bringing Ming up there as well, along with Uzi, and Xiang is able to keep himself alive.
Excellent redemption from 5, and both these supports, Ming and 5, we said that this was going to be a game about 80 carries, you know, the big names, SMLZ versus Uzi, but it's really been their partners in crime that have been kind of these slight differences that have turned games.
We're seeing the 80 carries show up huge in fights, and the supports show up huge in skirmishes. Meanwhile, both of the junglers are going toe-to-toe as well. I mean, this is a very even match.
Incredible shot calling, incredible bubbles. Maybe not that tidal wave ultimate, but that's fine. 5, you've been more impressive than that.
It was a zoning ultimate, in case there were anyone else. Xiang finds Xiaohu this time. And despite taking some good burst damage from that Void Staff, he's still relatively safe. Another chain procs. He's bringing Icon up there as well with those Weaver's Wall, but Ming and Uzi are already there to support their mid laner.
Xiaohu's testing his luck a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, he's 6-0-5 right now.
But this is going to be a race of who's actually going to get top first, the rest of OMG or the rest of RNG.
It's a sort of a low risk, potentially high reward. If he can kill that Shen, he could try to get down that top tier 2 with a brief period that opens up. But now it's 60 seconds before Baron spawns, so we see a quick recall out of Icon and Xiang. We're going to see some cycled recalls out of OMG as they get ready for this already. Ming picks up 3 more control wards, restocks his Ruby Sightstone, and starts racing out of the base to head towards that side of the map. But a minute after is Elder Dragon, and we saw how game number 1 went.
The fact that RNG lost with Elder Dragon is actually what's quite impressive. So, again, if this game comes to a single 5v5 versus playing the intelligent game, playing the map, trying to rip OMG around, RNG lost the first game like that. I'd hate to see them make the same mistake. That said, they have a much stronger 5v5 composition this time around, a lot more hard CC, a lot more pick potential. So I like the fact that Ming is already starting to sweep out that Baron, start setting up for Xiaohu, for Ashe to look for those picks. But now they need to be smart about it.
Yes.
Don't just bait into OMG.
You know, it's hard to believe that just a week ago we were saying that the match from RNG versus Invictus Gaming would be the last chance we get to see RNG really tested before playoffs once they got out of cross-conference play.
I don't think anyone ever expected OMG to reach these type of heights. And to be frank, we don't really know where OMG's skill ceiling is even. Like, 5 has vastly improved over this single split. He was not this type of support player. Like, again, the Thresh 1 trick. He's now playing an incredible Nami. You can see him looking for those predicts with the bubbles. SMLZ is a new man reborn. We knew that he was a great gen player, but to see him show up on other champions like the Lucian to be a hyper carry consistently for his team, and World 6.
Ooh. Looks like OMG are trying to call the bluff, or RNG are calling the bluff. Arrow is fired and it misses Icon. He's able to flash out of the way. As a very fast rotation with double mountain gets a lot of chip damage onto that inhibitor turret. Icon sets the wall.
He's got 1.
Ming and MLXG are split from their team, but they both have summoner spells and a path to escape. As they just casually reroute through the jungle, the rest of RNG escorts them to safety.
Also a very nice volley from Uzi. He actually tagged Xiang with the slow, making sure that he wouldn't be in distance to look for the taunt.
Oh, Xiang goes very far forward. Sonic Wave finds 5. He immediately flashes back. That's a fast summoner blown. Solar Flare finds Xiang. They're in the very tight corridor. They've got zone control to back through. If they can pull RNG into the funnel, they can take the fight, but RNG want to fight in the open area.
Yeah, and RNG also want to fight right now because they know that there's no threat of the Weaver's Wall, as well as the taunt was just burned. So keeping track of these very vital cooldowns.
Xiaohu finds 5. That support has got nowhere to go. They set up the zone control. SMLZ's firing in the back. He cleanses. He's got Stand United. Clears out Ming. Turns now on to Let Me, continuing to fire these shots. Xiaohu's looking for an opening, but Icon sets up the Unraveled Earth.
But the Ash Arrow is back up.
Oh, and it catches Xiang in the front. He's nice and tanky, so we can take a few hits from Uzi, but not too much. They trade supports and disengage.
And that should be it. Again, everyone was just kind of waiting on these big cooldowns. SMLZ, though, still has some fight left in him. But RNG, they knew they could look for the re-engage. Uzi saying my arrow's just about to come back up, so we can wait for this one.
They're now turning on to the Elder Dragon, confident they can take the ensuing fight, but the trade from RNG, they're racing for the Baron teleport even. They're on top of a control ward, and this is going to be the big neutral objectives swapped over. Elder Dragon goes down very quickly.
There is a teleport from Let Me, so he can get there earlier.
He's getting in. Baron is finished off. Xiang's over the wall as teleport is canceled. So, Baron versus Elder Dragon. 1,000 gold between the teams. This game is neck and neck.
But here's my opinion on Baron versus Elder. The thing is you still need to kill structures to win the game, and ultimately, if OMG are just smart, they just wait out Elder. They don't let you fight, and they use the Baron buff to absorb any sort of pressure that the Elder Dragon would apply on the towers. So at this point, if I'm OMG, I would actually just neutralize it, just let it go. The onus is on RNG. They need to make use of the fact that they have the team fight buff and try to find these picks. As long as OMG just don't wander out into the open and eat an Ash Arrow or a chain, they should be okay.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. They've managed to
God.
catch SMLZ. The cleanse flash mid-kick to get away from Xiaohu.
But why are you there? Literally one job. Just hold hands.
He might not have been smart enough to make it to the safety of a library alone, but he's got the mechanical reactions to get back to the classroom on time.
Just stand in your own yard, wave at the neighbors.
Xiaohu's actually teleporting. He's looking for Xiang, who's empowered recalling. He gets onto him before the recall is canceled. The arrow tags him as well. And suddenly Xiang is about to be in a bad spot. Let Me's there. And MLXG is following up as well. Here's the crowd control. Do they have enough to lock him down? They're trading in the mid lane. Xiang will die. But OMG make their way onto the mid-tier 2 to trade their top laner for a turret.
This needs to be a hit and run, though. They need to get out. Xiaohu's actually was looking for the really deep flank, but he recognizes that they're going to cut underneath, so he lets it go. OMG, why?
Ooh, they did break the base at the cost of their top laner, and they've still got 40 seconds before he's back up. So if they can set up these waves and prevent them from getting to the turrets, they might be fine.
Still need to wait out that Elder, however. So you can still see it's pretty hot and viable on RNG.
That's a lot of damage, 180 true damage.
But now they don't have their big tank. Like, that's the thing. RNG's composition has 2 tanks. Has the Nautilus, has the Leona. OMG only have Shin, and he is dead. It makes diving that much more viable, especially when Let Me has Elder and GA.
SMLZ also still doesn't have his flash. He's able to separate the minions from the turret, and despite Xiaohu finding a great position on the flank, there's good zone control to chip away the front line. MLXG so low, and SMLZ pops the GA. A great cleanse gets him out of the arrow. Can they kill this Lee Sin? They can. They managed to defend and get a kill for their efforts.
But that was massive. So RNG, they had the right idea. You could see that Let Me, he was looking for the dive. The problem is that OMG beat them to the punch and start the fight. They are team fighting and skirmishing so well right now. This is one of the best teams, if not the best team in the LPL, and OMG are looking 2-0.
Yeah, they've got Xiang back up. They're not even waiting for him, rushing right back down the mid lane. Elder Dragon is about to fall off, but Baron has a longer duration. They turn onto the inhibitor and break it before RNG can respond. The base has been cracked and the fight has been won for now.
And they're rotating now down to a massive wave building in the bottom side. They still have just the inklings of Baron left on them.
Yeah, just a few seconds. Suddenly that extended buff duration on Icon is paying dividends. They've got the minions onto the turret. Do they have enough to clear it out? The zone control is so excellent from this Talia, and they drop the turret.
And they recognize not to push their luck. This is something that OMG are very good at, and why they started to make the rise from underdog to dark horse. It's their short-term and long-term goals. OMG are so good at recognizing their win conditions, not so great at executing on it all the time. but you can always see what they're thinking. They knew, we don't have Shin. RNG want to dive. What do we have to do? We have to hit them before they hit us. We know that they're coming. They're out of position. Go.
Huge performance out of OMG in this game as they managed to open up a very slight advantage. Gold doesn't even matter at this point as you take a look at the items. It's all about those big buffs and those big picks. Unraveled Earth might have tried to catch somebody, perhaps Ming out of position, but he's just fine as the red buff is successfully stolen from MLXG and the super minions are pushed all the way back to nearly the inhib line for OMG.
At this point, it's going to be a truce, though. Everyone's just going to gentleman's agreement, shake hands. We're going to wait for Elder. We're going to wait for Baron. The only way this changes is if Xiaohu or Uzi get frisky. Throwing an arrow, catch maybe an SMLZ farming again. We know that he likes to do that. He's like, this is worth my flash and cleanse.
Full items, might as well farm up some more. I could use 8 more Elixirs of Wrath. 3,000 gold is that, Baron. Huge performance from OMG as they're cleaning this game up. It's game number 2, 43.5 minutes in. Despite a very close game number 1, blow for blow brawlers fight. We find ourselves in a very similar situation here in game number 2, and OMG are still coming out ahead.
But here comes the short-term goals again. So the ping goes to the last standing inner tower. One that's much easier to push down because A, it's weaker, it's easier to dive or get behind that tower. You can set up your vision superior about it, as well as the fact that Baron's coming up, so they want to play the top side of the map anyway, as opposed to trying to push in the open bottom inhib. It's this idea of objective identification is what I call it. And this is the right call from OMG, just because there's better objectives on this side of the map at this moment. A lesser team would have tried to storm that bottom inhib.
Oh, the play from MLXG as he looks for SMLZ, but finds himself too far forward. A kick to reset it. Xiaohu tries to flank, but this is exactly the kind of corridor that OMG want to take a fight in. They've killed 1, and now they're chasing onto 2. Cocoon to zone Xiaohu. As that World 6 tries to punish him, Exhaust denies any follow-up despite a great depth charge, and OMG are winning the fight.
But that is GA down for Nautilus, and GA still up and available for Shen. He's going to back, he has teleport, he's going to come in full health with GA, and the potential to dive is massive.
It's 5 versus 4. OMG are on the next inhibitor. There's no defense. Xiang teleports in with full health. The next inhib falls. Still 20 seconds before we get to see MLXG, so a huge numbers advantage. Could they try to end right here and right now, or will they play the intelligent game?
Clean up all of the inhibs. If you get forced out, you can look towards the Baron because you're playing with 3 super creep waves. If RNG make the mistake and overextend, you punish and end the game. It is low risk, high reward to do the play that OMG did. This is guaranteed the next Baron. RNG have 1 play left of them. Steal Baron. That's it.
Well, spicy hot pot. He almost threw game number 1, and then he almost won it. And now he's almost thrown game number 2. The question is, can he win it? Can he turn it around and make up for his mistakes? RNG are rushing the pit.
They are going to try to burn this as quickly as possible. This is going to be a 50-50 smite.
Xiang is there. World 6 is over the wall. He's made it there in time. And Xiang walks in 1 versus 5. Tidal Wave has found them. Weaver's Wall has separated RNG. Ming is dead before getting to use a single ability. Let Me uses a few dance moves on the side of the wall, but he is pinned and locked down. Xiaohu again flanks, but SMLZ instant cleanses, flashes onto Uzi to force him back. They are chasing this one down. OMG slowly and methodically are tearing RNG apart. Xiaohu is unable to break through the rock wall, the dividing force of OMG. They pop the GA teleport from Let Me. Not entirely sure he wanted to do that because now they're just going to chase him down. They continue to follow forward. Let Me is running out of health, and RNG are running out of time. The fans in the stadium have got to be screaming out in terror as one of the best teams in the league is about to lose to OMG. They are about to demonstrate that they are the superior all-Chinese roster. Dropping Nexus turret number 1, Xiaohu looks for the play, but SMLZ is untouched. He's got his eyes on the prize. He says, take that, Uzi, as he takes the series 2-0 over RNG.
The superior Chinese kings have spoken. In week 9 of the LPL, with nothing to lose for RNG, they fall 2-0. That one is got to feel sweet.
Oh, yeah. That one's for SMLZ.
That one's for OMG. This organization, at every turn in their history, have been put down specifically by Uzi as a player, even when he was on their own roster.
Huge performance from them in this game as they shake hands with their opponents. Now stepping forward, they have locked themselves into second place with this win. This will guarantee them at least 4th place.
They have locked themselves into playoffs with this win. Now, like you said, their seed is not locked. They're currently sitting in second. But boy, does it feel good. And you can see it on Icon's face.
Big smile from him. Now somebody else who hopefully has a big smile who can help us break down this match is Rusty. Welcome back.
Absolutely do not have a smile, or I wouldn't be able to talk and smile at the same time, Dom. It's actually impossible. So, no, that was a very good performance from OMG. Not from the start of the game, interestingly enough, though. They actually executed mid to late game better than RNG did. Barring individual mistakes, which were ripe on both of these teams, you can see that reflected through the gold values as the game went. OMG, they showed that they are actually the better team on the day in a best of series, as they are more consistently performing. And that's against the #1 team in their own group.
Huge performance from them. You can see the swing in gold overall. Taking this against, as you said, the #1 team in the group. A contender for the best in the league for the LPL. Suddenly OMG, are they moving up past Dark Horse? What is the next evolution from that?
As long as they can stay consistent, then it becomes one of the elite teams. I'm still going to say that they're a dark horse. We haven't seen this type of consistency from them until very late in the season. It's still only week 9 that they've started to peak.
I would say the evolution of Dark Horse becomes contender, and that is the best that I'm willing to give them at the moment. But that is definitely the performance of a contending team towards at least winning their group.
Absolutely. Huge performance from them overall. You saw even in the damage, the fact that Xiaohu and Uzi outdamaged everyone, including SMLZ, but just intelligent play, not letting themselves get pulled apart during that mid-game, not letting themselves fall behind from the early laning aggression of RNG.
And it was really making more cautious plays in response to the mistakes that RNG were making. Again, it was MLXG that was caught out at a very pivotal point. It led to a free Baron from OMG, and it's just kind of that question mark where you scratch your head, you're like, what are you doing, MLXG? But then when it comes to OMG, you know, they don't overreach like RNG did.
Yeah.
They look to clean out all of the inhibitors and then fall back onto the Baron. They don't try to overextend or overreach and have their hand caught in the cookie jar.
Yeah, the thing is, Xiang overextended about 17 times.
Yeah.
So whilst they don't do it on the more important members of the team...
But he's the Shen.
Exactly. The Shen is the person who's getting caught out. And he's got the support of a random redemption from 5,000 units away to help him as they do collapse. He's tanky enough. And because LeBlanc doesn't have the capabilities to kill him, Xiaohu was 7-0-6 as they were about to lose the game. Like, that guy didn't even die in a loss that he should have won, him individually as a performer. He couldn't kill the Shen, so no one was going to kill the Shen. And plain and simple, they can afford to overextend with him and just capitalize elsewhere on the map, which is what they did. They were trading really well.
Yeah, and this is something that we mentioned a little bit early on, that sort of pick priority for RNG coming into this matchup to set themselves up for an advantage. They were still able to come up with a very strong composition. I mean, this is the first time Ming has lost on Leona. That record has now been tarnished. Huge performance.
A little bit. It's like 86% still, so I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no longer undefeated. You're absolutely right. And the interesting part about this as well is RNG had a lead in game number 2. They were actually up quite well, and that's because 2 of their champions actually had R keys that do damage. So the second they get those, they're able to use their mid laner and their jungler as pivot points, where Talia and Elise are more about controlling the pace of the map or setting up vision to lock people out of fights so that they can do more. RNG are able to then skirmish and out-skirmish OMG. But the biggest thing is the one fight that happens around the Baron pit. I know that Frosker and you are hyping up SMLZ's performance when it comes to all of this. And, of course, remember that the jungler gets picked off to start it. The big proponent of this to me, whilst it was SMLZ, he positions incredibly well to be aggressive. It actually all comes back to Xiang, in my opinion. Firstly, hits the taunt that kills MLXG, hits a follow-up taunt that kills Ming, and then he holds the W, right? So Uzi's hitting him constantly. Misses the taunt, does not matter. He will take all of the damage. He is the tank. That means Uzi's not hitting his team. Still hasn't used W. Not until it matters and he has a team to protect at the same time. Just like that, SMLZ caught out of position. Xiang moves to the back of the pit now that he's low and ults SMLZ. That's what keeps him alive and allows him to continue to go forward. So yes, SMLZ is doing all of this damage, but Xiang actually stands out to me as one of the best performing players in team fights as a Shen, which is meant to be a split pusher that just comes in to help.
Yeah, MVP though is going to go to the support who helped set him up, involved in every single one of his team kills at 04 and 14. It's 5.
And from a fresh one trick to an MVP-worthy support here against RNG, 5 has made a complete turnaround on his career. This is a no-name player. No one knew what to expect from this squad.
Break it down, Frosco.
Yeah, he breaks his ankles, takes a left turn, dodges the Zenith Blade, then he's going to take him on a wild ride. Meanwhile, they do trade his life for the top-tier tower. That's gone down about 40 seconds ago.
Ming's losing his mind down in the bottom corner. Even 5 was smirking.
Yeah.
It was really the mind games there. He like broke Ming. He's like, we got him, coach.
And I think that's something that you mentioned, like the veneer started to crack. RNG, they looked so strong for the first 20 minutes, but that play, could that have been the catalyst perhaps to get RNG into that sort of mind state? To have a little bit more fun?
I mean, having fun's the basis of being able to win in League of Legends, firstly. So, yeah, that would have helped them a little bit, but nobody was in a different mental state from that particular instance.
Yeah. But again, a great performance from 5, a great performance from OMG overall. And as we said, this now puts them in playoffs for their group. They have secured that second playoff spot, which is excellent for them. Speaking to their opponents, though, RNG. This is now the third team we've seen them lose to. IMA, WE, and OMG. They've still got one more game next week where